Welcome to the April 28th, 2025 City Council meeting. Please stand to salute the flag. Justice for all. Good job. Madam Clerk, roll call the members.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Argenzio.
Here.
Here. Councilor Cogliandro.
Here.
Here. Councilor Janino.
Here.
Here. Councilor Guarino Sawaya.
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas.
Here.
Here. Councilor Jaramillo.
Here.
Here. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky.
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambudo.
Here.
Here. And Council President Silvestri.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the regular meeting of April 7th.
All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 3, the City Council will award a certificate of commendation to Revere Karate Academy in recognition of their 45th anniversary of being in business.
Councilor Novoselsky, I believe you were the first to present this.
Thank you, Mr. President. When I saw that they were on their 45th anniversary, I thought it was very appropriate that we recognize such a great business in the city of Revere and some great people that own it. Looking at our city councilor and Doreen and the whole family, and it's really great. And of course, too, I have to recognize that my granddaughter is one of their students. And, congratulate Anthony for his 7th degree that he got when he went down to Barcelona, right? And my granddaughter got her 2nd degree black belt. So I just thought everything fit perfectly with them. And I know there were some other people that also got their black belt degrees. So, and I wanted the whole city council to be recognized in this, and that's why I put it from the city council, not just from me. So with that, I want to congratulate Doreen for starting the program and for Anthony for carrying on and hopefully for a few more years that they keep doing this. So with that, with the permission from the President, I'll read the commendation. City of Revere, Certificate of Commendation in recognition and celebration of 45 years of excellence, dedication, and service to our community for its outstanding commitment to teaching martial arts, fostering discipline, and empowering generations of students through personal growth and confidence. Since its founding in 1980, special recognition is hereby accorded to Revere Karate Academy. This certificate of commendation is presented by the City Council and the City of Revere on behalf of its citizens. This 28th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, 248. So with that, it was signed by our city clerk, Ashley Melnick, and our council president, Mark Silvestri. And from the entire city council, we congratulate you guys. You want to say a few words? Thank you. Say thank you.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Ira and the entire city council for this honor and recognition. I can tell you it's gone by in a blink. I can't believe it's 45 years. I've been honored and blessed to have been a part of so many families. I'm looking at former students, actual students and family. No, and it's really, it does my heart. My heart skips a beat when I think of it. It never gets old for me. I will teach as long as I have breath in my lungs and strength in my legs, and I'm hoping to be part of the Revere Karate. I know Anthony's been slowly but surely taking over, but slowly. Mom has a hard time letting go, but I know the studio will be in great hands because he's an amazing martial artist and an awesome leader, and I'm so honored and blessed to have him as my son. But But I want to thank you all. It's been my honor and privilege, as I said, to serve the community, and I hope to continue for many more years to come. Thank you so much.
If I may, thank you. I am a product of Revere Karate Academy. Everything I am is because of that place, and none of it would be without my mother. As a counselor, I want to thank you for everything you've done for so many people in this city. People that have been under your tutelage and training have become great things. Police officers, firefighters, lawyers, doctors. Yes, counselors, thank you, Joanne.
No Indian chiefs?
No. So as a counselor, thank you for what you've done for the community. As a student, thank you for giving me the tools that I need to be successful in my life. And as your son, two things. One, I am so incredibly proud of what you've built for us. I know that everything that we have is because of you. And lastly, I just want to wish my mother a very happy birthday on May 3rd. Thank you.
With that, pictures, I think.
Oh.
We're doing pictures.
Yep.
Come on, pick.
Calendar item number 4, motion presented by Councilor Guarino Sawaya that the City Council award a certificate of commendation to Paul Baglio in recognition of his strength and determination in his battle against a rare form of cancer.
Council Guarino Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. Paul, you want to join me? Okay, I have a little speech that I wrote, so I want to read it. What can I say about this little courageous hero? I'm going to start by saying courage is not measured by years, but by the strength of the heart. And Paul Baglio, a brave 7-year-old boy, has shown extraordinary resilience and bravery in his battle. Despite facing immense challenges, weekly hospital stays with pictures of Oreo cookies sent to me, and pain, Paul continues to inspire those around him with his unwavering spirit, determination, and infectious smile. Where is it? He looks at you with that big smile and face, and your heart just melts. His journey has united a community in support, love, and hope, demonstrating the power of togetherness in the face of adversity. Tonight, let it be known that Paul Baglio is recognized and commended for his bravery, his strength, and his unyielding will. His courage is a testament of power to the power of the human spirit, and his story serves as an inspiration to all. Paul, you are a true warrior, and we stand with you in your fight. Please keep smiling and sending those Oreo face cookie pictures.
He's got to sit down and do his gavel once. Yeah, sit down. Push you in.
The one thing Paul asked is if he can hit the gavel. So I went out and bought him his own gavel, and it says, Paul Baglio, a brave warrior, and you have to hit your gavel.
Great job.
So your certificate, it's Paul's, he can take it home and you can play with it whenever you want. So the certificate reads, Paul, in recognition of his extraordinary strength, unwavering courage, and incredible determination in the face of life's most difficult challenges, he remains a steadfast and brave young warrior with a heart full of hope and an inspiration to everyone around him, all while battling a rare form of cancer. Special recognition is hereby accorded to Paul Baglio. The certificate of commendation is presented by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of its citizens this 28th day of April in the year of our Lord 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 248th. This is for you.
You're the man.
And you got one more present. One more present.
Go ahead. You want to say hi?
You want to say hi? Go ahead. Say hi.
Hi.
Do you want to say something?
Thank you for praying.
Yeah. Madam Clerk?
Calendar item number 5, motion presented by Councilor Guarino Sawaya that the City Council award a certificate of commendation to Lieutenant Robert Mpemba in recognition of his kindness and compassion in organizing a police escort for a courageous young boy battling cancer.
Councilor Swire?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah. Paul, do you want to come up too? Come on. Come on up with your favorite police officer. Come on. Okay, so tonight I want to share a story about a true leadership, service, and heart really looks like. I have the honor of recognizing somebody whose actions truly made a difference when it mattered most. When I reached out to Lieutenant Mpemba from the Revere Police Department and asked if he could help me with the fundraiser for this brave young boy, he didn't even think twice. He immediately stepped up and said, "Whatever you need." And he meant it. On his own time, completely off duty, Lieutenant Mpemba organized a 7-department police and fire escort for Paul, creating an extravaganza, a moment of pure hope, strength, and joy for Paul and his family when they needed it the most. But he didn't stop there. He also went door to door with me, collecting gift cards, food, and support for Paul's family fundraiser, giving not only just his time, but his whole heart to help people that he had never met before. Neither one of us had actually met Paul and his family before that night, but that didn't matter. What matters was showing up for a child and his family who needed their community to stand behind them. Lieutenant Mpemba, you showed us all what it truly means to lead with compassion, to serve with heart, and to lift others without ever asking for anything in return. Rob, your leadership and commitment to our community exemplify the highest ideal of public service. On behalf of the City of Revere, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It's an absolute honor to present you with this commendation tonight. Sorry, I have to go down here. In recognition of your outstanding compassion, leadership, humanity, and dedication to the community service by organizing a thoughtful and heartfelt police escort for Paul Baglio, which brought strength, joy, and encouragement to young Paul and his family during a profoundly difficult time in their lives. Special recognition is hereby accorded to Lieutenant Rob M. Mpemba, Revere Police Department. This certificate of commendation is presented by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of the citizens this 28th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, 240. Right here, right here. All right. Oh, yeah, there we go. Now.
Calendar item number 6, motion presented by Councilors Cogliandro and Argenzio that the City Council award a certificate of commendation to Ethan Day, captain of the Revere High School basketball team, in recognition of his status as the 2024-2025 Greater Boston League co-MVP and for scoring 1,000 career points.
Council Cogliandro. Agenzio.
So Ethan is one of the captains of the Revere High basketball team, and this year he was awarded through the Greater Boston League as a co-MVP for scoring 1,000 points in his basketball career. 1,000. And I just got this, I'm sorry, I have to read off it. He was also awarded the Massachusetts Basketball Coaches Association 24 and 25 All-Senior Team. Yeah. So we have Coach behind us. I'm going to let him say a few words on his behalf as well. Go ahead.
Thank you. So Ethan is the third boy in the history of Revere High School to score 1,000 points. And to do so on February 18th this year, our last game against Northeast Vogue, he needed to score 65 points to get to 1,000 points. And with the help of his teammates and obviously himself putting in the work, He was able to do that. He scored 65 points in the last game. And that is a Revere High School record, 65 points in a single game. So, congratulations.
Congratulations, Ethan. It's always great to recognize a high school sports star, and you did a great job. I'm just going to read this certificate of commendation in acknowledgement of your outstanding leadership, athleticism, and commitment to excellence both on and off the court as captain of the Revere High basketball team, and whereas you exemplified true sportsmanship and competitive spirit by earning the title of Greater Boston League Co-MVP for the 2024 and 2025 season, while also achieving an incredible milestone of 1,000 career points. Special recognition is hereby accorded to Ethan Day. This certificate of commendation is presented by the City Council of the City of Revere, Massachusetts, on behalf of its citizens, this 28th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 248th. Congratulations.
Public hearings, calendar item number 7, hearing called as ordered on an ordinance establishing rules and regulations for the Veteran Property Tax Work-Off Abatement Program.
How are you? Name and address for the record, please.
Julia Cervantes, 249 Broadway, Revere.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the ordinance to establishing the rules and regulations for the veteran property tax work-off abatement. We kind of want to make it official, and you guys have it in front of you.
Any city councilors? Anybody have any proponents? Anyone here in favor? Closing that side? Any, oh, you're in favor?
Yes, absolutely. Hey, my name is Donna Dreesen, 249 Broadway. I work for Veteran Services, and I just want to really highlight part of this that speaks to the younger veterans in Revere who do not qualify for a senior work-off program, and this will really help them out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any,
Hi, Clarence Zarillo, Solicitor's Office, 281 Broadway, just here in support of the amendments tonight.
thank you very much. Do we have any other proponents? Anyone else in favor? Closing that side, do we have any opponents? Anyone against? We'll close that side. Any city councilors? Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to congratulate you guys on this program. I think it's fantastic. When I worked at the senior center, we had the work-off program there, and you really saw seniors getting involved, and they would come back year to year, and they really looked forward to it. So I love the fact that you don't necessarily have to be a senior, you just have to be a veteran. I think it'll be a good mix, but I think it's very important to get people involved and get people, to stay active and get involved in their communities. I did have one question. Is it only for 5? Are there only 5 spots currently?
Yes, 5
Okay.
spots, yeah.
And is that something in the future we could push to 8 next year? And then, is that just based on the?
Well,
The
it's
success of
because
it?
of the work we have. 5 is a number that we can manage, and that we could put to work and potentially get them all 66.6 hours, because the goal is to max out their hours. Any more than 5, and we would be taking hours away from them. And we want them to have, the opportunity to do all 66.6 hours.
Okay, and if
Within
there's
the
ever
timeframe.
a decrease in the numbers with the senior work-off, is there a way that maybe they could get more? Like, I know we do the lottery for the senior tax.
I mean, what do you mean, like maybe coordinate with the senior work-off and?
Like, if we don't
give you-
get enough, for the senior lottery, maybe we could boost it to the veteran side of it and get
That'd be
even more
great,
veterans
yeah.
involved.
I would love that, yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Greeno-Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am so happy to support this program. This provides such a valuable gift to the veterans. To help ease the property tax burden through community service, it helps foster both financial relief and civic engagement, but also, most importantly, it's a way for the community to give back to these people that have served our country. And they're the most deserving people within the city, I truly believe. So I'm so happy to support this. And what Councilor Hass just said, I totally agree with him. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Jaramillo.
May
Thank you.
I?
Oh,
I'm so
go
sorry.
ahead.
Can I just address Councilor Haas really quickly?
Yes, please.
Just so we all have the same information before more questions. The hours were calculated with the CFO and the assessor's office based off the number of dollars we're allowed by the statute to give. So I'm not sure how easily those hours can be adjusted, but the number of participants, depending on the demand and how many people we're seeing, can definitely be adjusted. But I know with how we classify part-time and seasonal workers and stuff like that, the hours may not be as flexible as the number of participants, but that's something we can speak to the CFO about and to the city assessor as well.
Thank you. Counselor Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mr. President, and through you to Julia and Donna. Really appreciate the work on this. I think, we've all heard the phrase of we send young men to fight old men's wars, and we oftentimes don't bring them, when they come back, we oftentimes aren't creating a good place for them, and anything we can do. And the words that come to mind right now, largely because I'm in mourning, are rather, the words of late Pope Francis, who said that veterans shall be sentinels of peace, but we should be a home of peace, and we can be a home of peace if we can bring our war veterans home and provide for them, because they so provided for us in such a selfless way. So really appreciate the work that you're doing, and whatever we can do from the council to continue to increase resources for veterans, whether they served in active duty or not, or even if they served in battle, but certainly those who did serve in battle. Just want to continue to encourage you to give us more ideas as to how we can be supportive in that respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, a question to our legal staff. In one of the sections, everybody's required a DD 214, which shows some of the military service.
Yes.
And I know I talked to the president about this because being a veteran advocate, whether or not we can also add to show that someone was a veteran, a reservist or a National Guard person, an NGB Form 22 to show that they have that years of service, and some people went overseas and some didn't, and this shows that they did serve there 20 years. And I was wondering if we could insert in number 1, in section A, of 29230, that also beside the DD 214, an NGB 22.
Clarification, Counselor. Can I clarify? Yeah, okay. So an NGB 22 counselor could be given if the service member was severely disabled, lost 2 eyes, 2 hands, 2 legs. That's when an NGDB 22, there's actually a state guideline that breaks down every category, what certificate would go. Someone that did qualify that was severely disabled with an NGB 22 would qualify for $1,250 on a tax break. So we could take one, but they would have to be under that category, which is a severely disabled category.
It's okay, I'm just looking to see if we can insert it and make sure that that is all part of it, that they can use the NGB 22. Thank you.
Yeah, the general law, Chapter 59, Section 5N, which is what we adopted in order to give this work-off program to veterans, goes under, follows the definition of a veteran under Section 7 of Chapter 4. So I'd want to check that, and I can bring that to subcommittee for you guys, if you send it to subcommittee.
Thank you. Any other city councilors? Permission to speak from the chair? I just want to thank you guys for bringing this forward. I just have one question. So are we going to do a lottery? If we get 50 veterans that come into the office and put in for this, we're only going to pick 5? Wow.
So when we brought it up, we saw that the number of seniors who are applying for the senior work-off has been decreasing pretty steadily. And then in consultation with Health and Human Services and Donna and Julia, the number of folks they get through their doors is not a lot. So we would do a lottery if that were the case, but given their expertise on who walks through their doors and who they're reaching through their outreach and their events, the demand is not that high. But in the wonderful case that it is high, that's definitely a lottery would go into place. We could come back and try to amend the number of folks we get, but to start off with the first pilot of the regulations, they wanted to start small and see what the demand looks like.
Thank you. And I understand that there was an issue on what the demand would, but why wouldn't it emulate more of the work-off of, why would just the Veterans Office be, I guess, weighed down with supporting those 5 people? Why couldn't it be spread citywide? Because I'm going to tell you, you're going to have more than 5 veterans apply for this. Because you're going to allow younger veterans, and they may not ever have stepped foot in the Veteran Service Office, and they may have never even spoken to any of us regarding this, but the minute you put out a tax break for them, you're going to see them come into the door. And I think we should be ready to at least be prepared to move that number more than 5, just my opinion.
So if I can speak to that, I think that is, those are excellent thoughts, and I believe that is a strong probability. And working with other departments and other organizations will really help us to be able to sustain more than 5 people and give them the amount of work that we need done. And I know that the work will be in May and June, and as you know, May is a big month for us. We can definitely put them to work, placing the flags for Memorial Day. But you've been in this department.
I have, and there's a lot of black poles that can be painted.
Correct. So we could get really creative, especially with the young veterans that are homeowners, because we have to remember these are all homeowners, veterans who are homeowners. So, but working with other programs and departments within the city, that could also help with us when we run into that problem, because you're right, as the word spreads, we will. So that would be great if we get, and I'm sure we're all going to work together to make it work.
Thank you. Council Hess? Any other councilors? Okay. This will go to Legislative Affairs. Are we voting on this? Yep. This will be going to Legislative Affairs. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 8, hearing called is ordered on an ordinance further amending free cash distributions to stabilization funds.
Is anyone coming up? Yep. I seen you in here, and then I was like, wait, where'd he go? Mr. Viskey?
Good evening, Council. Richard Viskey, CFO, 281 Broadway. Last council meeting, we did bring before you some changes in our financial policies with regard to the distribution of free cash to help spread some of those dollars into some of the newly created trust funds that we've created without reading all of them to you, you have them before you. I'm happy to answer any questions with regard to that, but I am here to speak in favor of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Viskey. Do we have any proponents? Anyone here to speak in favor? Proponents? Hearing none, closing that side. Any opponents? Anyone here in opposition? Closing that side. City councilors? Okay. This here will also be going to legislative affairs. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 9, hearing called as ordered on a zoning ordinance further amending the Revere revised ordinances relative to off-street parking.
Okay. Anyone here? Anyone at all coming to speak on this? Huh? Do we have any proponents? Anyone in favor? Closing that side. Any opponents? Any city councilors?
Mr. President, so this was my motion. I spoke on it during the last meeting. I just want to remind everyone the importance of this and what I'm asking to be done. So I'm asking that the off-street parking variances be stopped being allowed to be given by the Zoning Board of Appeals and transfer those requests over to the City Council to be done by way of special permit. And I think we can all agree that off-street parking variances, very important. Everyone is very interested regarding their streets, the congestion. We just saw a lengthy discussion regarding off-street parking and curb cuts regarding parking in our ZBA meeting before this one. So just wanted to give that little recap. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Do we have any other counselors? Okay, this will be referred to zoning.
Calendar item number 10, hearing called as ordered on the application of 250 Lee Burbank Highway LLC, 20 Railroad Street, Revere, Mass., requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to enable the appellant to reconstruct the existing building with a new 2-story commercial structure with a total of 26 parking spaces at 250 Lee Burbank Highway.
Petitioner?
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, through you to the members of the council. For the record, my name is Richard Linz. I'm an attorney with a business address of 245 Sumner Street in East Boston, here on behalf of the petitioner. With me is Eric Zackerson, who is our project architect. We also have the rules of the petitioner with us as well. Mr. President, I do have a brief PowerPoint. I just don't know if that's coming up or...
It did.
Oh, perfect.
It's on.
Great. Good. Okay, hold on one second. Let me just see here.
Like, can you do mirroring the screen?
On or off?
Turn the mirroring on, so it'll show this up there. So right now it's thinking there's 2 monitors and it's only putting it on to 1.
Okay, sorry, bear with me one second now.
If this doesn't work, we should definitely do that. Yeah, actually, let's just do it on your laptop, if that's okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Sure. Yeah, I can give some brief background.
Counselor?
Great, thank you. So, Mr. President, this proposal involves the reconstruction of a pre-existing non-conforming structure located at 250 Lee Burbank Highway. Currently, there's a two-story, approximately 12,500 square foot structure that's used for office storage and other ancillary uses related to the operations for capital waste. Our proposal would demolish the entire structure and propose to reconstruct the two-story pretty much in the same location of its existing footprint. Once we get that up on the screen, I'll be able to give the members of the council a quick overview of the site. But with respect to what we're proposing, we're not looking to change really anything with respect to what currently exists there. Under the ordinance here in the city of Revere, we're authorized by special permit with the council's permission to reconstruct a non-conforming structure. And we can also, we're also permitted to actually expand the non-conforming structure under the special permit, provided that we are not creating additional zoning violations. With respect to the existing nonconformities, we believe that the minimum lot size in the TED district, which is 25,000 square feet in this particular area, would be insufficient, as we only have about 22,800 square feet. We're not looking to change anything with respect to the lot size itself. With respect to the front yard setback, the minimum requirement is 50 feet. Currently, the condition is just over 20 feet. We do have a proposal to maintain that setback as is. We are looking at some architectural features of the building that would permit the second level to have a bump out. We haven't made a full determination on it yet, but we do understand under the ordinance that you are authorized to grant special permit for that to the extent that it increases any of the nonconformity. In addition, our side yard setback, we do maintain a sufficient side yard setback at its furthest point of just over 43 feet. And we, again, are not seeking any particular zoning relief. Based upon our review with the Site Plan Review Committee, the specifics were a special permit from the council with respect to this particular item. So I apologize if we don't have the actual deck or presentation. I know we submitted a number of exhibits with our petition, but happy to address any questions or specific comments, and if we can get the slide deck up, we can refer to that as necessary.
Thank you very much. Do we have any proponents? Is that all you have right now?
Yeah. That's all we have.
Any proponents? Anyone here in favor? Okay, closing that side. Any opponents? Anyone here against or object? Hearing none. Closing.
It's not letting me open it. They had me reset my password for Dropbox, and now it's an error that didn't work.
Closing that side. Any city councilors? Councilor Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. So is this just like an automotive shop currently there now? Is this a storage facility now?
Through the president, through the chair, I understand that there is offices currently with some storage. This is mainly being recast as mostly offices. We're not proposing to include any storage within the building any longer.
So when done over, it'll strictly be an office space?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is my ward. I have no problem with this at all. It's not near a neighborhood. It's set back. There's a lot of land there, and I don't see a problem with it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Okay. This will be referred to zoning.
Thank you very much.
Calendar item number 11, hearing called as ordered on the application of Sora Revere Owner LLC, 235 Bear Hill Road, Waltham, Mass., requesting a Chapter 148 license for the storage of flammables to be exercised at 93 Bennington Street for the following uses: a 114-space parking garage, a 500-gallon diesel fuel above-ground storage tank to be contained in the fuel storage room, and 150-gallon diesel fuel above-ground storage tank.
Petitioner?
Good evening. My name is Quinn O'Sullivan, and I'm an attorney with D'Ambrosio LLP, 14 Proctor Ave, Revere, here on behalf of Sora Revere Owner LLC, seeking the council's approval of a Chapter 148, Section 13 fuel storage license at 93 Bennington Street. As the clerk noted, this is to store fuel at the property for 114 parking spaces, as well as a fuel storage room and the generator fuel located on the roof, and we're seeking the council's approval of that license. We have worked extensively with Revere Fire, and they have approved the configuration and the application to the council.
Thank you very much. Do we have any proponents? Anyone here in favor? Closing that side. Any opponents? Anyone opposed? Opposed? Okay.
My name is Juan Joya, 145 Bennington Street. We are the building next to the new construction from Sora. We are really, I understand, or we understand as the board, that the gasoline that is in the cars, we had to have one ourselves. That's not a problem. The problem is the diesel that is going to be on the roof. This building, that I don't know how it might be dangerous for our building, our north side of the building. That is the part that it cannot be together with the new construction over there. Don't know what type of a tank they are using, and it's not an underground storage tank, that it will be safer. Is an above ground, and it's going to be on top of the building. Plus, you had an extra 150 gallons of diesel that I imagine that's the day tank. So we are really confused on what that can cause for us in the future if they happen to have fire. We have 650 gallons of diesel on top of the building. That can be, a big problem.
Understand. So you're not here in favor, you're not here opposed, you just want clarification?
That is correct.
Counselor?
Just for the first point, the 500 of the diesel gallons will be in the fuel storage room, which is located on the first floor, and that's for the fire suppression system. And the remaining 150 gallons of diesel fuel will be in a tank for the generator, which is located on the roof. So it won't be the entirety of the diesel fuel. The majority of it will be in that fuel storage room, while only 150 will be on the roof for the generator.
So the 150 is not storing, it's just the gasoline that's in the generator itself, correct?
Correct. I believe that's from my understanding, that's what is in the generator tank on the roof, and then the fuel storage room that has the 500 gallons, if you're looking at the application, that fuels that supplies the fire suppression system, the fire pump in the fire suppression system, which is located on the first floor.
And the fire department came down and approved all this as...
Yeah, the fire department signed off on the application. It's located on the bottom. On February 3rd, they did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you okay with that, sir? Come on. I understand it's important.
Yeah, initially when I talked to one of the engineers that is in charge of the project over there, they told us that it was everything was located up in the roof. So that was the understanding that we did have. I understand that they have the day tank, that is the one that is going to be used in case of emergency that they need the generator. But he was telling me that the 500 gallons were up on the roof, that was the worry. That's a clarification that she just made on there.
Okay, and you understand that it'll be stored down in the room, and then 150 will be just for the generator
Yeah,
itself?
that's what we call the day tank.
Are you comfortable for that?
I am okay with that, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad we could help.
Hello, Mr. President. Ed Terrell, 70 Sewell Street. Not so much against, but I just have real concerns about this. there's a school across the street, and right behind it is the blue line. I don't like to think in worst term scenarios, but to me, this seems it could really go south. Even though the fire department is off on it, I just have concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other opponents? Anyone here against? Yeah, please. You have to speak from the mic, ma'am. Name and address for the record.
Yes, Blairta Costa. I live at 145 Bennington Street, and I live with a team here. I mean, we own an apartment, me and my husband, and we are concerned when we got the letter, and that was good that clarification was done that those 500-gallon was not on the top of the roof, as you explained and the lady here explained. But still, this is a big concern for us, you know. We live so close, so we don't want any explosion, nothing, and we just want to be safe. That's my concern.
Understand. Thank you very much. Do we have any other opponents? Okay, closing that side. Any city councilors? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. We vote all the time for this as a city council, and this shouldn't be exempt from this because there are commercial buildings that have the cars in there, and that's what they're talking about. So for the public, that's what they're talking about, the fuel in the cars that they're going to store, and that's everywhere in the whole city. So, and that we do have generators on the top of the roof that hold 150 gallons of diesel fuel. So this is a normal thing. They just have to do it by special permit. They have to come in front of the council just to have it okayed. So I would really like a roll call tonight, if we could do that.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but for years I've been saying these licenses should not be before the city council, but it's too much complication to try to remove it. The bottom line is the fire department signs off on this. They're the experts. If there was any risk, they would not sign off on this. We have to trust the fire department. So obviously, I'm in favor of this, but I'd be more in favor if we could change the state law and not have us vote on these. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Okay. Where are we? Oh, yes, we are in a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Shall the City Council grant a Chapter 148 license for the stated purpose to be exercised at 93 Bennington Street? Councilor Agenzio.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino-Sawaya.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes. The Chapter 148 license has been granted.
Yeah, we're going to hold. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So right now we're coming up on our public comment section. We're going to hold off until there's a presentation given from Tom Sikowski. After his presentation, because he'll either get more into it or answer some of the questions that might be asked. So I think it'd be more beneficial for us to hear his presentation before we do public comments. Thank you.
Next up is the zoning subcommittee report. Calendar item, oh, go ahead, Chairman.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obviously, the zoning subcommittee met this evening at 5 o'clock for an hour, and we had two items. The first item on the list here is the ADU regulations, which we amended in many ways and came up with a solution and was voted out favorably. So I would ask for a roll call on that.
Okay, Counselor, but real quick, Counselor Kelly has something to say on this.
Oh, I apologize. No, I
Thank you.
don't.
Thank you.
I'll hold back my roll call.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I just wanted to go on record by saying, I want, first and foremost, I want to thank Tom for meeting with me twice and being very patient and answering all my questions and really having an open mind with me and working with me to try to get some of these modifications, so thank you for that. I think the biggest thing here that I'm happy about is the prohibition of variance relief from the ZBA. So I think that's great because the dimensional controls that are in here are at least something. So hopefully we won't run into the issues that we're seeing in other parts of the country, namely California, in this regard. However, I was very disappointed that Councilor Jaramillo caught the, under section 17.25.020, number 5, that no ADU shall be allowed within a duplex, townhome, dwelling, or condominium, because I thought that was a change that you were, that we were standing by, and so I'm a little disappointed to find out that that in fact was an error and it's going to be deleted. But that's all I have to say. I just wanted to go on record saying that our ADU ordinance that we have, I think, is more than sufficient, and it speaks to what we were trying to the goal of having elderly or senior citizens or in-law apartments, and I think that spoke to that issue without having to go on this one-size-fits-all state mandate forced upon us. So I'm against it, but I thank Tom for the modification, so it's as reasonable as I guess we can get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambudo?
Okay, again, so I'd ask for a roll call on the ADU.
Madam Clerk, on a second reading as amended?
Oh,
On third and final reading as amended? Roll call for engrossment and endangerment.
Shall the City Council approve an ordinance further amending accessory dwelling unit regulations in the City of Revere as amended? Councilor Agenzio.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Cogliandro.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guarino Sawaya.
No.
No. Councilor Hass.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jaramillo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly.
No.
No. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo.
yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri.
Yes.
Yes, the ordinance is engrossed and ordained.
So the next item, Mr. President, the next item was Master Spray Foam Installation Incorporated, 870 Broadway, requesting a special permit from the Revere City Council to change the non-conforming use commercial garage to another non-conforming use, a contractor storage yard at 870 Broadway in Revere. We put many conditions on this, and I think it would be fair to the residents if we read them before we vote on this, because I've had many, many calls, and I think we addressed every item every resident had, and I think we put enough safeguards into, especially the ward counselor, did a lot of work on this, and so if we can read all the conditions, I would appreciate it.
The exterior of the building is to be repaired, including the replacement of missing stucco and boarded-up windows. The fire department must review and approve fire suppression and ventilation systems within the building. Since the primary use of the building is for a contractor storage facility for a spray foam insulation business, the owner of the property must cease operation of a commercial garage and used car sales. The building must be brought into compliance with all fire safety and building, electrical, and plumbing codes. All owners and employees of the spray foam insulation business at 870 Broadway shall park off-street. 870 Broadway shall not be eligible for participation in the City of Revere on-street permit parking program. Hours of operation shall be limited to 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday. The City Council shall rescind the existing Chapter 148 license, number 221, issued on June 14, 1926, for a commercial garage and additional storage of flammables. There shall be allowed up to 6 vehicles, 3 vans, and 3 box trucks related to a spray foam business to park on site, and only materials related to a spray foam business shall be allowed to be stored on-site.
Can we roll call the members?
Did we also read the conditions of site plan review in that?
Yes, those were the first 4 conditions that were
Okay,
read.
great, thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Madam Clerk?
Shall the city council grant the relief requested for 870 Broadway? Counselor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Haas?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Kelly? Yes. Counselor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, the special permit has been granted, subject to the conditions of site plan review and the zoning subcommittee. Communications, calendar item number 14, communication from the Chief of Planning and Community Development relative to a presentation on Revere Power Choice.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, councilors. Tom Skrowski, 281 Broadway. We were hoping to plug into So in October of 2022, the Revere City Council unanimously voted to authorize the city to engage in a municipal aggregation plan, like over 200 plus communities throughout the Commonwealth, including Boston, Chelsea, Malden, among many others. And then September 9th, we presented to you our draft municipal aggregation plan to submit to the DPU. We submitted shortly after our presentation, and the plan was accepted by the DPU later that year. And in the subsequent period, we've been working on getting this program up and running for a June launch and working with our partners at Peregrine Energy. Marlana Patton is really the subject matter expert here, so I'll defer to her on the presentation and what we're going to be discussing here. But we wanted to make sure that we were all clear as a community, you were all clear as counselors about what the program entails, what the opt-out entails, what all the choices ultimately entail with this program, because I know you all have been getting a lot of questions, and I appreciate you working with us in my office, in the mayor's office, to get those questions answered. But ultimately, we think this is a program that provides long-term, stable electricity rates for Revere residents and consumers, and we think it's a positive net benefit for the residents in the long run that provides more choice and stability. So I'll hand it over to Marlana to talk, and then we'll take any questions that folks might have at the end.
Great, thanks, Tom, and nice to see you all. Thanks for having me. So as Tom said, I'm with Peregrine Energy Group Mass Power Choice. We're the consulting company hired by the city to help implement and then ultimately manage this program, Revere Power Choice. So I'm going to take you through a presentation that's really geared toward the general public. And it'll look very similar to the presentation that we did when we first introduced this program. So I always start with this opening slide that says an introduction to Revere Power Choice, which is an electricity program from the city for residents and businesses. So I always like to make the point that this program is municipal in nature. It's not a private program, it's a public offering from the city for both residents and businesses, and it's only for residents and businesses in Revere. So people from other communities cannot participate in this program. It's unique for Revere. So what kind of program is it? It's something called a municipal electricity aggregation program, and that's a mouthful, and if it leaves you confused like this dog, then the way to think about it, it's a form of group electricity buying for the community, and it's a municipal alternative to the private electricity markets that everybody gets through the mail, over the phone, and sometimes at your door. And it's a regulated alternative, I should add. So this program had to be approved by the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities, and they maintain oversight on an ongoing basis. Now, why participate in the program? There are 3 big benefits that Revere consumers can get out of it, and I'll add that one of the other benefits that's not on this slide is you're joining more than 2 other communities that have already done programs like this. So you're in very good company. It's well-trodden ground. But one of the big benefits is 3 new electricity supply choices. So what do I mean by that? We're talking specifically about the part of your electric bill where you pay for the electricity itself. So if you look at the bill, it says supply services. That's the second part of your bill. The whole first part of your bill is delivery services. There's a lot of little line items there, and we can't change that part of the bill. That's a regulated part of the bill. But the supply services part of the bill, where you pay for the electricity itself, we can change that, and through this program, you get 3 new choices for that part of the bill. Another big benefit is stable prices. So through this program, prices will be stable for that part of the bill for 30 months. That makes the program, and I should add, that's specifically from June of this year through December of 2027. That makes the program different from when you have, say, National Grid's price for that part of your bill. National Grid's price changes seasonally, and you might remember a few years ago at the beginning of the Ukraine war, when National Grid's prices spiked to 14-year highs, and we were all really suffering. So through a program like this, you would be protected from that kind of a seasonal price spike. And then the third big benefit on this slide is savings compared to National Grid's price. At launch, Revere Power Choice is definitely offering a price that's lower than National Grid's current price. Most communities with programs like this do see savings on average over time as well when you compare this long-term price to the fluctuating National Grid price. I have to say, we can't guarantee that the program will always provide savings, and that's because the city has signed a fixed long-term contract, and National Grid's prices are going to change all the time, and we don't know what they're going to change to. But UMass Amherst did a report a couple of years ago looking at these programs across the state and found that the vast majority of communities do see some savings. Now, I like to clarify up front that this program is not a replacement for National Grid as the electric utility, and that can make some people nervous. So we're not going to take National Grid away, and in fact, we cannot take National Grid away. National Grid owns the electricity delivery infrastructure, the poles and the wires. So if you live in Revere, National Grid is going to deliver your electricity and send your bill, and you can't change that. But what you can change is your electricity supplier, which is the company that buys electricity and puts it on the electric grid on your behalf. So it can help to explain this a little bit more if you stick with me, that as a consumer, you actually have 3 choices for how you buy your electricity in the state. The first choice is your utility buys it for you in addition to delivering it. So that's National Grid. When you first open your account, they're going to always deliver your electricity, like I said, and then by default, they also buy it or supply it for you. So when that's the case, that's called basic service. And you have National Grid's basic service price for the supply part of your bill, and that's the price that changes seasonally that went really high the other year. Your second option is you sign a contract, private contract with one of those private companies. They're going to buy electricity for you instead of National Grid. When National Grid puts together your bill, they're going to use a price from that company to calculate the supply part of your bill. But you're still calling National Grid when the power goes out. They're still sending your bill. None of that's changing. The third option is the city signs a contract with one of those electricity supply companies instead of you. And again, that company's the one buying electricity for you instead of National Grid. National Grid's still your utility, still delivering your electricity, sending your bill, but they're using that price that the city got to calculate the supply charge on your bill. So that's what aggregation is, and that's what Revere Power Choice is. Now, the next 2 slides are just pictures of what I was describing. So this is a picture of basic service. So on the left side, you have National Grid, both supplying and delivering electricity, so 2 services. And on the right, you have the consumer. And then this is a picture of with the program in place, what this looks like. You'll see that the right 2/3 of the picture are exactly the same. National Grid is delivering your electricity, and there's no change or interruption in the relationship between National Grid and the customer. So there's no change in the quality of the electricity, in how they put your power back on if the power goes out. None of that's changing. There's no change in their billing. If you have automatic billing or electronic billing set up, none of that is changing. The only change is on the left. The supplier is in a different color because it's not going to be National Grid buying or supplying the electricity. It's going to be a company called Direct Energy. So that's the company that the city signed a contract with. They're the ones that are going to buy electricity and put it on the grid. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that one of the big benefits from this program is new choices for the supply part of your bill. That's what this slide is about. So there's 3 colored circles on the left, and then we're going to compare them to National Grid on the right. And that National Grid price is the current residential price that's being used to calculate the supply part of your bill if you have their basic service. So that's a 6-month price. Over on the far left, we have Revere Basic. That's the cheapest option in the program. This price is in cents per kilowatt hour, so 13.760 cents per kilowatt hour. That's the lowest price in the program, and you can see that it's almost a penny below National Grid's current price. The city had to choose one of these options to be what's called the default, or the auto-enroll one. It's the one you get if you don't make any other choice in the program. All the programs work this way. So the city chose the cheapest one as the one you get if you don't make any other choice in the program. So that's Revere Basic. If you participate in this program and you don't make any special request, you're going to get the cheapest one. You have 2 other choices in the program that are available by request, and you would make those choices if you want to buy more of your electricity from renewable sources, like solar or wind. So this is not a change in the quality of the electricity that's coming to you. You're getting the same electricity off the grid you always have been, but this is a change in when electricity is being purchased on your behalf and added to the grid, where's your money going? So through Revere Greener, you can get 80% of your electricity from renewable sources. And what I didn't explain, I should have, you automatically get a little bit every year from renewable sources. It's the state law. So this year, you're getting 63% from renewable sources by state law. So through Revere Greener, you can pay a little bit more and get 80% of your electricity from renewable sources. Or through the Revere 100% green option, you can pay a little bit more and get 100% of your electricity from renewable sources. Again, this is not something that you would get without asking for it, and it does not mean your lights are going to flick on and off if the wind stops blowing or the sun stops shining, because you're still getting electricity from the grid. It's just who's dumping it on the grid for you. All 3 of these prices are fixed for the long term from the program launch until December of 2027. National Grid's price is a 6-month price. It's going to change on August 1st. We don't know what it's going to change to. Now, are you going to get a really crazy bill from this? No. You're still going to get a National Grid bill, same as you always do. Under the Supply Services section, you'll see your supplier change to Direct Energy Revere Power Choice, and their contact information will be there. And then the price that's used to calculate that charge is going to be a Revere Power Choice price, and it'll be dependent on which option you're in. Now, the decimal's in a different place on this slide than it was on the previous slide, and that's because previously I was talking in cents, and it's easier to talk about these numbers in cents, but on your bill, they're calculating your bill in dollars, so they move the decimal to the left, but it's the same number. Otherwise, this is going to be a pretty invisible program to consumers. The primary relationship for electricity remains with National Grid. They're still delivering your electricity. You're calling them if the power goes out. They're sending your bill. You're paying them. You're not getting any new or additional bills or new or additional charges on the bill. And importantly, if you're eligible for a discount from National Grid, like a low-income discount or fuel assistance, you would continue to receive that discount through this program with no change. Now, how does participation work? Well, it's easy for most people because by state law, all programs like this work with an automatic enrollment model. That is not a decision Revere made. All of the more than 250 programs in the state like this use that model. What that means specifically is if you have National Grid's basic service, meaning you did not sign a private contract with an electricity supplier. So you have that default setting. Your account would be eligible for automatic enrollment in June, and you would first see this price on your July bill. If your account is eligible for automatic enrollment, you should have received a notice in the mail already from the city. I always mention that it bears the city seal, because many electricity suppliers will step up their marketing when a community is launching the program, and they will try to confuse people by sending out mailings at the same time. So if you got something in the mail and you're not sure if it's legitimate, always look for the city seal. Now, I mentioned that it's an automatic enrollment model, but importantly, enrollment or participation is not required, and that's one of the hallmarks of these municipal programs. So that means if your account is eligible for automatic enrollment, you can choose not to participate at all, so you can opt out before being enrolled, or you can try out the program and leave at any time in the future with no fee or penalty. That means if you just want to be in the program for one billing cycle, you could leave the program and there would be no fee or penalty associated with that. And that makes this program different from many of the private offers that are in the marketplace that would offer you a price and require you to be with them for a period of time and charge you an early termination fee if you try to leave. So some common questions. What if you don't have National Grid's basic service and you have a private contract with an electricity supplier? Well, in that case, you're not going to be eligible for automatic enrollment, and nor should you be. You have signed a private contract. But if you want to participate, you can. You just have to take a step to do it. You can do that now as the program is launching, or you can wait until your contract ends and submit your enrollment request then. So there's no reason to worry about needing to break a contract that you have if you have a great price or an early termination fee. You can just finish your contract and then join the program whenever that is, and you'll still get the program price. If you have solar panels or you participate in community solar and you're getting credits on your bill or some kind of an incentive payment, this program will not break that. There's no change. Those incentive payments and those credits are not connected to your particular electricity supply price. So you can change your electricity supply price without impacting how those credits appear on your bill. As I mentioned before, if you get a low-income discount or fuel assistance, there's no change there. And then also, if you have National Grid's budget plan, so this is when National Grid estimates how much electricity you use over time, and then they charge you the exact same bill every month, you can still do that if you're in this program. So this is the last slide. This is just what the website looks like, and I like to show people because in the upper right corner, you see 3 buttons: enroll, change your option, opt out. Those take you to really simple forms where you put in your account information and you can submit an enrollment request, choose a different option, or leave the program. If you call customer support, you're calling my company. We actually do the frontline customer support, and we can help you with those forms or do that for you. And if you remember nothing, just remember reverepowerchoice.com. You can also always get the current National Grid price on this website. That's a regulatory requirement, so we manage that for the city. There's also a calculator on the website where you can compare the program prices with the most recent previous 12-month average of National Grid's prices, if that's helpful to you in making your decision. And then there's a bunch of other resources on there. So I think that's it for me, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. That was a lot. Council Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellent presentation. Thank you so much for being here. I think you answered a lot of questions. I have to state, because I've gotten so many phone calls about this, the auto enroll is a huge problem for a lot of people, and most of those people that call me, I have to walk them through the opt-out. What are we doing to aid these people that, someone like me, I'm looking at my rate right now, I use Town Square Energy. I get $11.55. That's my rate. So
that's a great price.
Thank you. Are there ways to lower this rate, and are there ways to help educate the people on how to opt out? I think the big problem is a lot of people don't like that they feel like they're being forced to do this, and I know you just said it's a state law, and I didn't know that either, but what can we do to help educate people and to help get these people that want to opt out and don't really know how to do so?
Well, presentations like this, hopefully. I know there's going to be another presentation, and we've got the website and customer support. So if people want to call, we're happy to talk them through that process. But you're right that it's not something Revere chose. And I guess the other piece I would add as a caveat that might be helpful for folks to know as you're talking to people is that the program's not made for people to bounce back and forth. It's really made for people to be in for the long term. It's very expensive for electricity suppliers if people bounce in and out of these programs. So there is a provision in the contract that says if people want to opt out and then come back, they're not guaranteed the program price. They will probably get it, but the supplier has a right to charge a higher market price if the electricity market has moved. So right now, none of the electricity suppliers are doing that. But it's a caveat that I offer because it's important for people to know that that's a possibility. If we have another big run-up, like at the beginning of the Ukraine war when prices really spiked, what happens is people that opted out suddenly call and they want to get back in and they can't get the program price. So that's just something that you may want to offer folks as they're thinking about this. The other thing that you may want to offer them is that right now they are saving. So if they want to try it out and then leave the program in 2 months or 3 months, because they feel like it's not right for them, there isn't a risk. They can leave, there's no penalty or fee, and if they call to opt out or they submit an opt-out request, their opt-out is typically processed with the next billing cycle.
Thank you. And what I've been telling people is if you're someone who doesn't shop around for rates, that this will ultimately benefit you and you don't need to do anything. If you do, like I do, shop around, then you should opt out. Is that accurate?
Yeah, if you don't, you're right. It's a great program if you don't want to shop around because the city's done the shopping around. If you want to shop around, then yeah, you're free to opt out and do your own thing. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And if I could just add some local context to it. So both my office, Abder Zakazib, and myself can answer any questions as well if you want to talk to somebody local, as well as the mayor's office in 311 are all pretty well versed at this point on this program. And as to if you want to shop around and are a savvy consumer, there are some potential opportunities to get better supply rates. But one thing I'd say, and I've seen the postcards come in, you get a $150 gift card if you opt into a cheaper rate. And you know what my grandma always used to tell me is, you know, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Now, the rate is what it is. The rate might be low today, but some of the postcards I've seen, the rate ends right before winter, which is super convenient because winter is when the rates get much more expensive. So what they're relying on, the same reason why I can sign up for free HBO Max for 3 months because I want to watch White Lotus, they rely on me in months 4 through 12, and 3 years from now I'm like, wait, I still am paying for this? Because you, after that point, you auto-enroll at whatever their rates are. So if you're a savvy consumer, it can work out. If you are somebody who might get roped in by that initial low rate and then forget where you are and the prices fluctuate regularly, that could be problematic. So it's just kind of buyer beware.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guarino-Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for coming and explaining everything today. I did have a couple of questions which you did answer. One of them was the residents on the payment plans who are on a payment plan, and I'm glad they can still keep that payment plan, as well as the low-income discount. Residents are concerned, and the reason they've called, I mean, in drones, when I tell you a lot of people have called, that they don't like the fact that we have to opt out. And I know I think it's a state law.
State law, yeah.
That they, and it's just, it seems like we're not being transparent with them, that we just basically threw this upon them, and this is how residents of the people who have called me have felt. The other concern that I have is your last picture that you had up there said December of 2027 rates. How high will they go? I mean, they can go double of what we're paying now. And I mean, I don't think they're really saving that much money. It's less than a penny.
So to answer the question about what happens at the end of this contract, so this contract, The prices were fixed because the city went out to bid, and it got competitive price bids from electricity suppliers that reflect where the market is right now. The city's going to do the same thing in advance of the contract expiring. So before December 2027 hits, the city will go out and will get competitive bids at that point that will reflect wherever the market is. And we'll sign a contract, assuming they see a price it likes, it'll sign a contract. And so the prices will just reflect wherever the market is, which would also be the case for National Grid's basic service prices and would also be the case for any prices that are offered privately. So the electricity market is always changing, and 30 months from now, I mean, a lot of different things could change. Prices could go up or they could go down, and whatever the new prices will just be a reflection of that market.
The other concern I have is, you said something about National Grid still owns the poles, so we're still dealing with National Grid.
Yep.
So is Power Choice a middleman?
No, that's just the name of a program. So the Revere Power Choice is just the name of a program. The change that's being made is the city has signed a contract with a company, a type of company called an electricity supplier. So to back up a minute, when you have National Grid's basic service, which is kind of the default, it's what you get when you first open your account, National Grid's delivering your electricity, which they're always going to do, and then they go out and they buy electricity from companies called electricity suppliers. They don't generate it. So electricity suppliers submit price bids similarly to what they did for Revere, and National Grid signs contracts with them to get that basic service price. With Revere Power Choice, instead of National Grid signing a contract with those companies, Revere signed a contract with one of those companies, and that company is Direct Energy. So that company's job is to go out and buy electricity from generators and make sure it gets put onto the grid in the amount needed to serve Revere. That's the only change.
So there isn't a middleman? Because it still sounds like there is a middleman.
Electricity suppliers are middlemen in that you're not buying electricity from a generator, not buying electricity from a power plant yourself. So consumers don't make contracts with a gas plant or a wind turbine. Consumers don't do that. Consumers can, or municipalities or National Grid can make contracts with middleman companies called electricity suppliers. They deal with the electricity generators, and then they turn around and they sell it. And they sell it to National Grid, to the consumers that have basic service through National Grid, or they sell it to a municipality for a program like this, or they sell it directly to consumers through those offers that you get in the mail.
Okay, so what I'm getting at is, if they're selling it directly to the consumers, it'll be less money than.
No, there's no. It's
There is no
always
direct.
it's always an electricity supplier that's selling it.
Okay.
The benefit here is that Revere was able to use the group purchasing power of the community to get a competitive price. Now, that's not saying that an individual consumer couldn't go to Direct Energy and maybe get a lower price for a period of time. That's also certainly possible. Neither National Grid, nor Revere, nor any individual supply contract can guarantee at any one moment that they're always going to have the lowest price. One of the big benefits of a program like this, though, is the stability of the price. So the price is competitive with National Grid right now. Most of the time, communities do see some savings. You're right, it's not a lot. You're not going to be able to buy an island in the Bahamas, but it's a little. But the big real benefit is stability. You remember when the Ukraine war started and National Grid's price was up at 33 cents a kilowatt hour. It was like a 14-year high. And people that were not in programs like this, I was one of them, suddenly our bills went crazy, crazy high because National Grid, their price changes every 6 months and it follows the market. But if you have a program like this, the price is fixed for 30 months. So if some crazy thing happens, you're not going to feel it when you're in a program like this. And then when the city goes out to bid and gets new prices, those new prices will reflect wherever the market is, and everybody else in the market will have similar prices. And also, it shouldn't be a big surprise to the community because there's a regulatory requirement that the city makes a big announcement about it 30 months before the prices take effect. So everybody should know about it, and they could leave the program then if they don't like the new prices as well.
And the consumers have the right to opt out at any time.
Anytime. Anytime. And another big concern people have is, what if everybody opts out except one person? will that person be penalized and get a higher price? The answer is no. That's a risk that Direct Energy took when they signed this contract. The risk is all on them. So it's not dependent on a certain minimum number of people participating. So however many people participate, those people get the price, and everybody has the right to leave at any time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your presentation. I got a zillion calls. The first call I made was to Mayor Keefe, and I called him and I said, is this fraud? Is this real? I mean, I knew it had the seal on it, but anybody can put the seal on it, you know? And he said, no, this is legit. But I just felt like I didn't have enough information to give to my residents to tell them about this program. This is wonderful that you're coming up here and doing a presentation, but not everybody has Revere TV. So how can we get the word out to our residents about this? Because, like I said, not everybody reads the Revere Journal, not everybody reads the Revere Advocate, and not everybody has cable TV. Especially now, people are opting out because Comcast is so much money. So I just want to educate the people because a lot of people don't know. And I couldn't even tell them, you know, what was going on. I told them that I would get back to them, which was like 2,500 people. But anyways, is there some way that we can get the word out to residents instead of on television? Thank you.
We thought this would be a necessary first step, and hopefully you all can work with your constituents as we have been to make sure the word's getting out. We're also having an event May 8th at 10:30 at the Revere Senior Center for anyone that would like to come and get more information, and then we'll be working with the mayor's communications team, which we have already, you know, with press releases and so forth, but also using social media to get the word out in addition to the mailers and everything else. But I actually just, when I took a break from the zoning subcommittee, went up to my office, a gentleman came up and spoke to me about this program, and he had a flyer. And I think that really, truly the most impactful thing you can do is point people to this website because it has everything that they need. If you're kind of in a pinch that you've got to point somebody in the right direction. So I would certainly encourage you to do that.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you so much for being here and for the presentation. And I know the city's been doing a great job of outreach. I feel like every time I go on social media or I take screenshots of the flyers and the comments, and I'm sending them to constituents and family members who have reached out and things like that. So regarding the savings, would you say a few dollars, I think it said $4 possibly per month? Is that something that, in your experience with other communities, that you could touch on?
It really depends on how much electricity you use. So I don't have my phone to do the math real quick, but like if you, it's like almost a penny savings right now. And if you use 500 kilowatt hours a month, that would be $5, right? 500 pennies. If you use less than 500 kilowatt hours a month, it would be a little bit less than that. If you use more, it would be a little bit more than that.
And is there an opportunity for, say, after December of 2027 to see more of a boost if we opt into another plan like this?
Sure. So it really depends on what the delta is between the community's price and where National Grid's price is. And that can be impacted by a lot of different things. As I said, National Grid's price is really volatile. And the community has a community-specific price. National Grid's price has to accommodate their entire service area. And they also can't decide when to go out to get prices, which Revere will be able to do that. So yeah, there certainly could be a larger delta when you guys go out to bid next time.
And I could just speak on experience from somebody who had a municipal aggregation plan during the Ukraine spikes. Our bill, in comparison to friends of mine who lived in other communities, was significantly lower. And, you know, of course, that's not always going to happen, but the future is uncertain from an economic standpoint right now. So it's nice to have stability, and I think that's ultimately what we're looking for here.
Thank you. And one last thing, sorry. So I've had a few residents reach out just based on our past history with National Grid and our failings recently, that there won't be any huge spike in the delivery charge because we're saving on the other end or anything in that sense, correct? Anything that the residents have to worry about?
That's correct. It's a common concern, and I'm glad you brought that up. So it can be helpful to know where National Grid makes their profit on the bill. They don't make a profit on the supply services part of the bill. They make all their profit on the delivery services side. So there's no financial incentive for them to penalize anyone for making a choice either to participate in a municipal program or to sign a private contract. But separately from that, the delivery charge part of the bill is regulated. So National Grid is not at liberty to just change that without a huge rate case in front of the Department of Public Utilities. So they really are okay with programs like this, and with more than 200 of them already in operation throughout the state, we are not seeing issues in that way. Yep.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess I just have, well, first of all, big fan of community aggregation, and look forward to, as we design all other policies in the city, trying to figure out how we get alternative sources, that we can pool additional energy sources so we can kind of feed the particularly alternative sources, non-fossil fuel dependent, so we could feed this program from our own end as well, and maybe help offset some costs for residents in the long term. I have a more technical question. I'm a resident. I have a 25-year lease with a solar company, and they said, they've calculated that my solar panels are going to create 600 kilowatts of electricity per hour or per month, right? But I spend 800, and I've locked a rate in at 0.19 kilowatts per hour. If I opt in, or if I don't opt out, I guess, how does that affect my bill? Does it affect my bill?
So if you have solar panels, when your panels are producing, you're not buying electricity from the grid, and this program has nothing to do with you. But if your panels are not producing, like at night, and you turn the light on, you get electricity from the grid and you have to pay for it. The rate that's used to calculate that part of your bill would be a Revere Power Choice price if you were in the program. If you're getting credits from those solar panels because you use less than you produce when they're producing, those credits would be used to offset that cost of what you're buying at night, but they would go a little further because the underlying bill is a little bit lower.
Right, so I understand that, but let's say a lot of these companies will lock in a rate with you for the length of the lease, right?
Are you talking about your net metering credits that you get on your bill?
No, I'm talking about the solar lock on the rate, right?
So yeah, this program isn't going to have any impact on anything other than the price you pay for the electricity that you buy from the grid. That's the only thing.
So if I have this contract, I guess, with a solar company, because they're providing me the solar panels, and they're saying anything in excess of what you produce, we're going to lock you in for 25 years for this, right? This doesn't supersede that.
It does not change. It does not have any impact on that.
So essentially, if you have solar panels and if you're locked in a higher rate, you wouldn't be able to take advantage of this program.
Is the rate what the rate is for? I'm not sure what the rate is for. But if it's in general,
panels.
if you're buying, I'll just say that the only thing this program can impact, the only thing it has the possibility to impact, is the price you pay when you buy electricity from the grid because your panels aren't producing.
I understand that.
That's it.
What I'm saying is some companies are locking in
The supply price?
A supply price, yes.
Yeah.
That may differ from this, maybe higher, maybe lower, but this doesn't necessarily, I guess this wouldn't impact consumers who have that arrangement with the solar company.
So I'm not familiar with that particular arrangement, I'll be very honest with you, of a solar company acting as your electricity supplier, because that means that they would be, in addition, that means they would be buying electricity for you. Yeah, I would
They're
I would
probably
need to
doing
see your
some
bill.
sort of aggregation
Yeah, I would need-
purchase as well, I guess.
You know what would be helpful?
is if you wanted to give us a call and we could talk through your bill.
That's
And then we could do that. Off the top of my head,
Yeah.
this particular scenario doesn't sound familiar, but that doesn't mean I can't figure it out.
Well, what I'd like to put you
Yeah.
in front of someone who does like sell solar, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, who can get in the weeds around this and help explain that for us.
Yeah, in general, though, for people who have solar panels, this does not change any part of their relationship or their contract or anything with their solar company. The only thing it impacts is the price you pay for electricity when you buy it from the grid. If you have a relationship with any company that is serving as your electricity supplier, meaning on your bill, under supply services, you see that company's name listed as your electricity supplier, then you could not do both at the same time because you can only have one electricity supplier at the same time. So if you're looking at your bill and this company that you have a relationship with is listed as your electricity supplier, then you're correct, you could not do both. You would have to choose one or the other. But if on your bill you see basic service fixed from National Grid as your electricity supplier, then you could do this program and that.
Great.
Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess at least for me, I'm
Yep.
Control F in right now, and okay.
Yeah.
Helps provide clarity.
Yeah, you can, I mean, the big picture, National Grid will only let you have one electricity supplier. So whatever this company is, whatever your relationship with them is, if it's not that, you could still participate in this program.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Janino.
I just want to say thank you for clarifying the program in front of us right now to make my job easier when I get the phone calls into me to answer the question, because you answered 90% of the questions I got already. Thank you.
Any other counselors? Okay, thank you very much. It's very informative, and this will be placed on file.
You're most welcome.
Yes. Now, in the public comment section, so if you are here as a resident of Revere and you're looking to speak on a motion pursuant to the Acts of 1965, and you want to speak, please come before us, give us your name, your address, the motion you're looking to speak on.
Yep, Anthony Cutler, motion 20. So there was a little bit of disagreement and debate about this specific issue, term limits, but I think that, this is the best approach to this matter, because if you look at this matter holistically, the key stakeholder here is the voter. And if we want to improve morale and we want to get more people involved, leaving this up to the voters is the best way to go about this. I think there are two countervailing elements here. I think there's an ambition to minimize career politics, which I understand, but then you juxtapose that with the fact that if this were to pass hypothetically, people could still serve 5 2-year terms as a city councilor, 5 2-year terms as a ward councilor, 5 2-year terms on the school committee, and 3 4-year terms as mayor. So I'm not 100% sure that it completely addresses it, but if the voters want this to pass, then I respect that. So I support this motion. Thank you. 111 Brandon's Lane. Yep.
Name and address.
Anthony Pazziali, 51 Arcadia Street. Mr. President.
Motion.
I can't speak on the motion because you guys already voted on it. So I'm a little bit frustrated about that. I wanted to comment on the ADUs. I was at the subcommittee meeting. I was hoping to get a parking thing straightened out. I didn't like how it went. I was going to appeal to the other counselors, and now I cannot, and I don't really know how to remedy that, so I guess it is what it is, and I'll let it go. I'd ask in the future, if you guys are going to move public comments, please move anything that's getting voted on after the public comments so that we can come up and be heard. I do want to comment on Michelle Kelly's motion on term limits on the ballot. I support that 100%. Let the people's voice be heard. Let them have an opportunity to say how they feel. Anytime the people can make a decision or be involved, we should allow them to be. Thank you.
Name and address.
Stephen Daviano Jr., 172 Prospect Avenue. I'm speaking on
motion 25-135 about the street sweeping. It undoubtedly happened this past Monday. The street sweeper did not come by. It has happened years past. It sort of actually happens every year, especially that first one. They miss it because it's a holiday, and then what ends up happening is the following week, people are at work, the sweeper sort of comes in, gets the other side. Basically, it resolves itself by June, but if our tax dollars are going towards street sweeping on that day, I'd like to see it happen. I have a mess in front of my house still, so you guys are all welcome to come take a look if you don't believe me. I support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Jim McCurry, 193 Crescent Ave, Ward 1. Am I allowed to speak on, Mr. President, am I allowed to speak on communications or motions only?
Anything that's on the agenda.
Anything
You got 2
that's on the
minutes.
agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to talk about item 25-125, HYM in the tax increment abatement. Thank you, Honorable Council. Tonight I want to talk about a simple choice. Do we stand up for Revere families, or do we give away our future to a wealthy developer? Right now, our city is facing major challenge. We need to build a brand-new high school, a $500 million investment in our kids, in our community. It's the biggest bonded project in the city of Revere's history. The truth is, we can't afford to be careless with our finances. It is very likely that in the future, the citizens of Revere will be asked to approve a Proposition 2.5 override, which would raise property taxes for every homeowner and business in the city, just to help to fund a new school. And yet, at the same time, we're going to be talking about giving a massive tax break to HYM, a billion-dollar developer. That's not just bad math, that's bad leadership. If we give away tax revenue now, it means less money for our schools, our roads, our public safety. And it forces ordinary Revere families to pick up the slack. Revere families that are already struggling with the cost of living, housing, and taxes. We can't allow that. Residents shouldn't have to pay twice. First, by losing potential revenue from HYM, and then by seeing their own taxes hiked to a Proposition 2.5 override. It's simple. Developers who profit from Revere's growth must pay their fair share. Just like every small business owner, just like every homeowner, just like every taxpayer like yourself. It's only fair if Revere residents can't get tax breaks, why should multi-billion-dollar developers? HYM project will increase demands in our public services. They'll rely on our police, our fire departments, our roads, and yes, our schools. They should be investing in Revere, not taking away from it. As you elect officials have a duty to protect the future of our city, and that starts with protecting the people who live here. No corporate tax breaks, no special deals. Let's put Revere first. Let's make sure HYM pays their fair share. And let's build the high school our students deserve without crushing the families who already call the city home. Thank you.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk? Back to the regular order of business.
Calendar item number 15, communication from the policy writer and analyst requesting a public hearing relative to various amendments to Title II of the Revere Revised Ordinances.
So be ordered to a public hearing.
Calendar item number 16, communication from the Chief of Planning and Community Development requesting a public hearing on amendments to Title 17 and Title 5 of the Revere Revised Ordinances relative to food trucks.
On to a public hearing.
Calendar item number 17, communication from the Chief of Planning and Community Development relative to a tax increment exemption agreement between the City of Revere and HYM Investment Group, LLC.
Tom?
Good evening, councilors. Tom Skrowski, 281 Broadway. February 10th, the HDIP district was approved by the City Council for the Suffolk Downs, Green Street, and the Shirley Avenue neighborhoods. And as we mentioned that evening, the express intent for getting this done first and foremost was to provide support for the Portico project, which is a 473-unit development, high-rise style development that's really the signature project for the Suffolk Downs development. And we then, after the council approved it, worked on getting the district approved at the state level. It was approved April 2nd, and then subsequent to that, we started discussions with HYM on negotiating a tax increment exemption deal. The tie, as we call it, has been submitted to you is in draft form. It still requires state review and review from our council. And this solely pertains to the Portico development and nothing else around the Suffolk Downs development. And it proposes a 50% increment exemption for a period of 15 years. It has a sunset clause whereby if construction does not begin by November of this year, this deal effectively expires. And it also has a clause that no abatements can be sought in the first 10 years of this tie term. Separate to this, we have been working with HYM on a series of community benefits that we'd like to bring to a negotiated agreement that will be separate to but complementary to this tie agreement, because essentially HYM needs to make the numbers work on the Portico project, and looking at that project in a vacuum, there are certain numbers that they need to meet to hit their investment goals. But at the same time, there's a series of other projects over this decades-long partnership that we have with HYM that we're looking to secure additional benefits that, again, our goal will be to bring a tie to the City Council, hopefully for execution May 12th, but at the same time, bringing an agreement to the City Council that brings other additional benefits to the city tied to various other projects that are happening throughout the Suffolk Downs development. So some of the main contours of this agreement would be payments of $4 million at various milestones throughout the development process, and those would be secured, we hope, before 2030, so in the more immediate term. Have a clause that states that if the project is sold during a certain time period, the net profits of that sale, a percentage of those net profits would come back to the city just to cover us in the event that, for whatever reason, HYM were to sell this property, which we feel like is unlikely given their long-term commitment to the city, but it's just a hedge we would like to cover for. We are looking to have a community benefits clause related to the employment of a Revere residents on this project, and benefits to other Revere resident benefits, such as things related to the tickets for the stage at Suffolk Downs. And then finally, we are working with them on potential community benefits that they could bring in for the Amaya development, which of course is already constructed, but there's various retail spaces on the first floor that are not yet occupied. So those are all things that we're working on. The $4 million is kind of the biggest ask there, and one we feel confident in securing, and we think would be a big win, which, to the point we heard earlier, we've got some debt service obligations coming up, and this will align right with those and provide us with some additional financial security. So top of the line, though, in consultations with Mayor's office and our CFO, I think we feel like this is an agreement that is aggressive but fair, and also protects us from the event in which, if construction does not begin at this site, we would find ourselves in trickier fiscal waters than if it did with this deal. And so we feel good about the deal we've put together here. And our goal would be to either send it to committee, or I understand it might be tabled and then voted on by the full committee on May 12th, in order to get into the next round of HDIP funding, because it's both a local tax agreement and a state tax credit. In order to get into that round for the state tax credit, we need to have a vote May 12th, so then they can then submit to the state to meet this round, because the next round would be much later in the summer, and they'd basically miss out on another construction year. So our goal is to work with them to get shovels in the ground July 1, and this helps us accomplish that goal. Happy to take any questions you might have.
Mr. Mayor?
No, I'm just here if anyone has any questions as well.
Okay. Ms. McKenna? Council McKenna?
Thank you, my little student. I just want to know, Tom or Mayor Keefe, has the state given any increments to HYM yet?
So the state provides a tax credit, so their deal is a little bit different. And it would be, I think right now it's maxed out at $4 million that they would receive for this project. So that's what they would be applying for, a state tax credit for $4 million.
So they would ultimately get $19 million from this deal. Is that right?
Roughly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Tom, for the presentation and some of the information here. So my first question is, so the way I'm looking at this, at the last meeting, we were talking about $1 million roughly over 20 years, but we needed to negotiate that. So now, based on that, we're looking at 15 years instead of 20, correct?
In addition, and then $4 million that's front-loaded, that's tied to some of the other development projects, such
Okay,
as
so
the
then
hotel.
what would the total, so I'm seeing 42,097,000 here. So is that 50% of that figure?
That's the current land value, so that's the baseline for evaluating the tax increments. So currently, that's the value of the land for tax purposes.
Mhm.
After the development, we anticipate the development will be
higher.
valued somewhere around 200 million.
Yeah.
So this would basically exempt that, what, 160 million roughly from 50% of that taxable value.
So we're still at that 20 million roughly?
It would be closer to, if you think of this, about 750 to 800,000 the first few years, and then it slowly ramps up to about $1 million in year 10. So it's roughly between 13 to 15 million, depending on how you want to evaluate it. But then that additional 4 million would bring it down to right around 10.
Okay. And so I noticed that there's a sunset clause in here. And it says construction has to commence before the end of the year. To me, that is so vague. Because what exactly, I know, with building permits and things like that, every 6 months, developers can get reviewed. And if they've done just a little bit of work, it's okay. And they get to, extend another 6 months. So is this just, they put a shovel in the ground, so they started construction and it's all set? Because that needs to it's vague to me, and that needs to be tightened up.
Sure. Councilor, through you, Mr. President, to the councilor, we can clean that up a little bit more, and I'll just say that we've also reached an agreement that they will pull the permits by June 30th, so that they will effectively pay a portion of the permit fees that they're required to pay. And breaking ground means site activation, not just coming there with a shovel and being vague. So we can firm that language up if that's the wish.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. And this whole thing rubs me the wrong way, because I began asking questions about this project about a year ago. I was concerned about the progress there or lack thereof, the viability of the project, and every time I raised my concerns, I was told, oh no, those are just rumors, there's nothing wrong, everything's great there. And now, either that was, in the best case scenario, just inaccurate, or worst case scenario, I was being deliberately misled. I don't know. Because now we're being told that we have to have this tax incentive plan. We had to vote on it favorably in order to boost that development to start up again, when all along I was told it was just doing fine. But now all of a sudden, so forgive me if I'm not 100% confident in anything that has to do with this project now, which upsets and saddens me, because I want the project to be successful, because I know we desperately need the revenue to fund that high school, and this revenue is crucial in terms of us funding that high school. So it just seems like, boy, we're over a barrel now, right? The rationale being if we don't allow HYM the tax credit, we're told, well, maybe then the project will stall and we need this revenue. So it's almost, you know, everything was going just fine until this tax incentive plan became available. And now all of a sudden that it's available, oh, they need this money to get things going again. And we need them to get the money because we need the money to fund the high school. So the whole, that's rich. That's all I have to say. It's really rich. So that's it. Thank you.
Sure, and if I can, Mr. President, if I can throw you to the counselor. By all means, I'm not a developer and I'm not in high finance, but I don't think that anyone can disagree that the state of the economy and the state of the development of the entire Northeast has been in a little bit of a sluggish environment, and it's definitely heading towards some more trepid waters. You know, every developer comes here, you know, I don't want to get any polarizing political terms, but tariffs are freaking people out. And ultimately, the sense of certainty is only, the only constant is uncertainty in the environment when it comes to the construction field. You know, you can probably hear the trades very much supporting this deal. Every trade that has reached out to you, and I'm sure that they will come to the council to voice their support. 1,000 IBEWs sitting on the shelf. Construction laborers, 22 on the shelf. There's thousands and thousands of laborers across Massachusetts that are out of work. So there is a trickle-down economics when it comes to helping spur this economic development. It's not what we ideally planned on in 2016, and I understand that, you know, there's certainly pessimistic and optimistic views on any large-scale plan, but I don't think anyone planned on a pandemic, and certainly I don't think anyone planned on these unprecedented times that we're facing today. But as we know, the economy in construction ebbs and flows every 10 to 15 years. So I'm not a clairvoyant, and I could sit there and, you know, we could probably toss a coin and predict what's going to happen tomorrow. One of us is going to be right. One of us is going to be wrong. The only thing we can do is to come together and work together to make what's best for Revere. So ultimately, ideally, no one wanted to plan on this 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but this is the certain times that we're facing. And I'll just say this, again, not a developer. I don't build things. I'm helping to chair the city to make sure that we're heading in the right direction. But we are very much in a road, a game of chicken. And this isn't chicken with the developer. We're in the same car facing the wall. And we want to make sure that we can help that, push that domino over to get the entire project back on track. Because yes, it is behind. That is 100% certain. So this deal, all in, is approximately $11 million over the life of the deal when it comes to approximately $15 million with somewhere around $4 million back. And then we are going to continue to negotiate. I know that some of you have some ideas and will be willing to hear and listen. And I know that Tom O'Brien and his team are going to listen as well. This is going to help, you know, get us, you know, I say this all the time, 50% of 100 is better than 100% of 0. And that's unfortunately what we are facing. So I appreciate your foresight, you know, a year ago when you had seen some of this, and I don't know, some of your information that you were gaining from people in the trades was probably very, very true. And I appreciate you trying to give that information, but, you know, we have to put a positive outlook on what's going on in our community and take a team approach, and that's what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I find myself in a tough position here. So we're looking at $11 million. Is that what we're looking at? Okay. I don't want to bring up old wounds. But I see, you know, I said we were in a financial mess when we moved the high school to Wonderland. I don't want to talk about future litigation or all that other crap, but it's out there, and it's a problem. I don't see how we're going to pay for this high school. And now, I screamed, I don't want to take money from Suffolk Downs because we were supposed to, that was supposed to give the taxpayer a break. We were going to get $47 million a year from Suffolk Downs. And I lost that argument, of course, and I was the only guy that voted against moving it to Wonderland because I knew we couldn't afford it. Now with the money we were going to use from HYM's project to help pay for the high school is $11 million less. I just, the logic just doesn't make any sense. I agree with your analogy that 50% of something is better than 0% of nothing. But it's not a great analogy. It's not a palatable analogy, I should say. I'm worried about the fiscal health of the city. And I'm sure you are too. And we can all say, you know, Zambuto's full of crap. He talked about, you know, receivership and all that. And I'm not even going down that road at this point, but I see a problem down the road here. And we're at a crossroad, and I'm not sure how I'm even going to deal with this. I'm not sure where I'm going to come down in the end here, but I am not in a comfortable place. I can tell you that right now. And the people out there are not happy. And there was an example here tonight, and that's what I'm getting from a lot of people. You got the nerve, they're saying to me, you're going to, you know, I was the biggest bragger of this project. I was the biggest cheerleader because it was going to create $47 million a year in revenue. But who knew that interest rates were going to go to 8, 9%? And I don't care how much money and how much backing you got. It's just an impossible environment to build right now. And so part of me wants to help them get over this hump, and the other part of me says, you're going against everything you said you were for. So I'm between a rock and a hard place here, and I'm trying to be honest with everybody. We're all between a rock and a hard place here. I don't see a good solution here. So I don't know why I'm going on like this, but I don't find myself in this position much in life. But I'm in a tough place here right now, and I'm hoping that someone can make this more palatable to me.
Of course, and Councilor, Mr. President, through you to Councilor Zambuto, you know, you're right. There's so many, there've been so many environmental changes over the last 3 to 4 years, certainly over the last 6 years, that have made every calculation that every economist has planned change and alter. You know, you just said the interest rates, and it's been so turbulent that you're seeing large-scale developments across the Commonwealth, across the entire Northeast, just come to a screeching halt, and that's exactly what's happened. Not one large-scale development, high-rise construction, has come out of the ground in the last 15 months. This is a high-rise unit. This isn't 5 units. This isn't 5 over 2. This is high-rise steel construction, and we know that it doesn't always pencil out. So that's one, yes, there is certainly a level of support, but again, to domino and to help support the entire project, rather than just literally sit there and watch and wait another year, year and a half, until the hopes that interest rates come down, the uncertainty when it comes to things like tariffs are not part of the equation, and then what will happen? So this is a one-time deal, and I'll just use some examples. The City of Lynn is negotiating a $47 million tax tie right now, $47 million for a larger development. The surrounding communities are going to get more competitive and offer these to these construction firms and these people that want to take advantage of some more support. The BCEC in Boston, we negotiated a sale clause, which we hope we don't have to take. But if there's a cash windfall by any development on a tax agreement, we want in on that. Now, granted, we don't want to see this person sell within 10 years, but if there's a cash windfall and we helped incentivize that, we're going to get a clawback on that. So it could make the deal even more lucrative. BCEC did a large, under Mayor Menino did a large increment finance like this, and they actually made out because of that sale clause. I mentioned, you know, unfortunately, one of the largest trafficked environments in our city was dealt with through a tax deal, Market Basket. As everyone remembers, the Northgate Shopping Plaza was a desert. It was dying. And through economic development, through some of your plight, Councilor, you were ahead of your time. You helped negotiate one of the the best tax deals in the city to Market Basket, a multi-billion-dollar grocery chain that came to the city of Revere and completely turned around the Northgate Shopping Center that we all see today. Now, you may not like all the shops, you may hate the traffic, but that was done through a tax deal through the city of Revere, through some of the councils that sit here today. Different scale, different times, but had you not done that, God knows what we'd be looking at right now on Squire Road. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. President, if I can just comment, I agree with you. I was the cheerleader for the Market Basket TIF. However, that was a pre-permit TIF. This is all a different ballgame here. And, I don't want to get into the legality. Some of us don't believe it's legal to do that. Others, there's no case law and all that. But that was offered to Market Basket to come to Revere. In fact, when the special permit was written, it said supermarket on it. And I said, no, we're not offering this TIF to a supermarket. We're offering this TIF to Market Basket because it'll revitalize this mall, and that's what we need. This is a different ballgame, and I'm not saying that this isn't going to help the city get this over the hump. Like I said, I'm torn here. I'm really torn, but you can't compare this to Market Basket. Market Basket was a vision. It was, here's a TIF, come. Now, if we had done this to HYM, here's a TIF, come and do this, that's a different story. This is after the fact, and this is to try to boost,
I will.
And this is only talked about because the state offered this incentive program, because it requires local buy-in. I don't know if a lot of people watching TV tonight know why this even came up. It's because of a new state incentive that requires local buy-in. And otherwise, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
One thing as to the legality. So I did speak with HLC, and it's regular common practice to bring HDIP projects in front of them that have already been permitted. As I think I mentioned at the time, was my experience doing this in Fitchburg, because the HDIP program has actually been around since I think 2015. So the program's been around for a long time. We just adopted it here only recently. But we're also working with Councilor Anderson Krieger, who is helping to work with us on this tax deal, and I think you might be familiar with them, and they will help to clarify any other legal issues we might have here.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cogliandro.
I'm just gonna leave it there.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have three questions. The first question is, has Boston given, or are they looking to give a tax incentive on their side of this project to HYM?
So Boston is ineligible for the HDIP program because they're not a gateway community, a gateway city, but I know they're considering that for other projects that they're doing, like commercial to residential conversions.
Okay, thank you. And so another question. Originally, this Suffolk Downs project at full build-out was supposed to give $47 million, and it was said the other night, and Mr. Mayor, I hate to put you on the spot, but it was said, you said $60 million. Is 60 million the new number that we're estimating it will generate at full build-out?
So when we were talking about exclusive of property taxes, it was closer to that $40+ million. We were estimating the $60 million as ancillary taxes such as meals tax, hotels revenues, and some of that other trickle-down economic funding sources. So that would be the full build-out. And again, that's 15 or so years from now, 10 years from now. We want to get that ball going so we can get closer to that full build-out scope. We're not happy. No one's happy, and nor should you. And I appreciate some of the people and the residents here that have their frustrations. There's no doubt. But this isn't criticism. I was a counselor as well. On any given night, we could sit here and literally dole out $1 million in motions. And this is $1 million to spur another $1 million in economic growth. So we're giving $1 million to get $1 million, or we can give zero. And I'm not saying that I like feeling threatened or under the gun, but this is one where I feel it's real. I do. I feel that there'll be a lot of people sitting because they can take their investment and get 4.5% from a bank by doing nothing. And you've heard these developers all come and say, it's 6.5% minimum to get into the ball game from a development standpoint. So to take that risk of $100 million or $120 million, they're looking for a little bit of backup. And that's where we're becoming a partner in this project. And it's something that we have to make tough decisions, and I'm asking that you make that tough decision with us. And there'll be time to negotiate more if you're looking for some other added incentives. I'm not sure how much room there is, but I know that everyone will be willing to sit at the table I started at, much less, they started at much more, and we sort of met in the middle, right around about, for dollar average, about $11 million. I wanted to give zero, I mean, that's the truth. But I can't just do what I want to do. I have to do what I feel is the best interest of the entire community. Thank you.
You answered a couple of my other questions. I just want, for clarification and for the people watching that may not be up to date on this, this is specifically for the portico building only. This is only for the next building. And more, and also, this is going to be a way for us to keep this entire project union built. Is that correct?
Counsel, that's a very good question, and yes, that is the answer. And that's what the fair is. And I'm just going to say, part of this was to protect union construction labor, because had we said, we'll walk, their next option would be to probably say, hey, we have to revisit how we construct this. And that was the fair, too, is protecting union employment for the people that have really fought for this project. There was a fear that they would walk from the PLA, and they would have a right to, because financing would change, and that would just be the way it would be. And I would be very upset, and I know that a lot of our residents would be very upset. Hence why we're also negotiating an even higher percentage of Revere union labor on the site. You can't really put an equation to that. There's no real dollar on that, but that would be something that is an added bonus to the residents of our city to make sure that they're employed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I want to just reiterate what you said about construction stopping. In the Boston Globe last week, there was an article that said all construction in Massachusetts has stopped. So that's just one thing. The second thing is maybe we should go back to the table and redefine the high school, and instead of having wave corridors and a wall that goes up so they could have outdoor and indoor concerts, I think we need to go from a Cadillac to a Camry, because we're going to be losing some money. The other thing I'd like to say is that for 20 years, Revere gave NECO a 20-year tax incentive for 20 years, and they left us, not in a good state. So we've done this before, to bring a company in to keep the company. We have given them TIFs, we've given them incentives. So that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you to Madam Council McKenna. So, right, NECO was the #1 employer of the city for a number of years, and it was a great industry. Obviously, that changed. They moved their plant, but the good news is that after being idle for some time, there was massive amounts of unemployment related to Revere. But it did its job when it was there. What I would also say is, listen, I know that everything kind of piggybacks onto the high school. Just know that on sides, not every project in the city is completely tied to the construction of the high school. Although, yeah, it is a big project. $250 million to the city, $250 million approximately coming from the MSBA reimbursement. We have already, because we work behind the scenes on contingency plans with everything. If something happens, in the community, we lose a major employer. Health insurance. I'll just use health insurance, right? If we're solely basing every decision in the city based on finances, our health insurance premiums for the city went up over $6 million this year. $6 million. How much of that? That's half of the debt service to the high school a year. Just the health insurance went up. Right? The state is seeing unprecedented amounts of health insurance increases, double-digit increases 2 years in a row. So do we just say, hey, let's scrap health insurance and let's go to the GIC like everyone, if we're just going to make financial decisions, we can do things like that. I don't want to. We're going to have to figure out ways to be more nimble and work on making sure that we keep people getting great health benefits and we protect our residents and our employees. But those are the types of decisions that come across my desk every single day. We've already worked on value engineering for the high school. It hasn't. I think it'll be on the next school building committee meeting, to the tune of $20 million. right? We're already looking at different energy credits. You know, they just, Consigly's finishing up their school in Waltham, under budget and with almost all of the contingency money left, $18 million. I spoke with the mayor the other day, Ms. McCarthy. There's no doubt if there's an in case of emergency break glass moment for the city of Revere, we're gonna break the glass. And, you know, I know that we talk about, you know, Proposition 2.5 and all of these overrides and whatnot. You know, look around every city, you know, Winthrop, Melrose, Medford, how many other communities have done these over the last couple of years? And they're doing them constantly. Braintree, they're doing them almost every year. You know, the city of Revere has been fortunate because of its thoughtful process to growth to not have to put that burden. Because when you talk about 2.5%, what cost has gone up less than 2.5%? Has your utility costs gone up less than 2.5%? Has your insurance costs gone up less than 2.5%? Has our raises gone up less than 2.5%? Of course not. So when we can only raise taxes 2.5%, we have to be mindful of everything else that we do. That's why, you know, you see the mayor's office, when you see the budget come out, what we're making sure we're doing to not overspend what we have. And we're doing a good job financially. We're going to continue to do that. We're never going to, I promise you that, we're never going to put ourselves into that financial jeopardy that got brought up a few years ago. That's not going to happen. We will take a thoughtful approach on the design and the Cadillac conversion and make sure that we're ready to turn it into I call it a Volvo, nice safe vehicle option. There's nothing wrong with the Volvo. Not that I drive one, I can't afford one. But you know what I mean? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you to whoever's listening, because the first part of my intervention here will be to clear up a few things. The first thing being that, you know, as well respected as Tom O'Brien is the CEO of HYM, and I actually do believe he's a good faith actor in the development world, as he is, for the working people on his projects, and particularly on this project, he has already gotten a discount for the wages for the people on this site. So now he's asking the city of Revere for a little extra money. And I understand the economic pressures at play here, right? You have, you know, the markets are revolting against a series of policies, and there's uncertainty as to how our economy is going to blossom or spiral in the next few years. We were headed straight towards rate cuts from the feds, and now, you know, the Fed chair, Powell, said last week that he was not going to do that. So I can see how this could affect the borrowing and the lending for a big development like this one. The thing that strikes me about what happened from the moment where we approved the H-step and where we are today is that the city of Boston, a city of almost 800,000 people, to be the CEO of the city of Boston, you have to spend about $2 million, at least. And for whatever reason, Tom O'Brien, who's been in politics for a very long time, because the way he's been able to be a good developer in Massachusetts is he has been first a good politician, decided that he wanted to run for mayor. Now, I can't imagine that's not a calculated move, and I can't, the mayor of Boston, yeah.
Get there, I know.
Yeah, I can't imagine that's not a calculated move, and I can tell you that there's another multimillionaire running for mayor in the city of Boston right now who has lined his coffers with his own money. I say all this to say that I really appreciate the efforts of the city. I still don't think that this goes far enough. I really would like to point out particularly the payment of $4 million here that you've laid out. I don't think that we should accept this. I think that we should be looking at something closer to $8 million on this council. In fact, I don't know what the procedure is, but I'd motion so that we can direct the mayor to negotiate as close to $8 million as possible, but I just don't think $4 million is acceptable. I know we have a few more weeks leading up to the final vote on this, but I would not be able to vote in favor of something like this for less, for anywhere close to $4 million. And I understand the economic times, but I do, you know, I wanted to provide some context about this particular project Again, the wage cuts that have already been implemented, all the other things. And so, just want us to be mindful about that as we consider particular things like, not just the high school, all the other things that we have to pay for in the city of Revere. So I've actually, if the clerk would help me with how procedurally that would go here, but I would propose that we increase this $4 million number to $8 million and go from there.
Because the chief of planning and community development had said this is a draft form,
Okay.
so the state is going to review it.
Would it then come back to us?
The city council can amend the contract wherever they see fit.
Got it. So when the contract comes back up, then that would be the right time to do that, Madam Clerk?
No, what she's saying is now is, we have the ability to do it.
Oh, right now?
Could I?
Not right this minute, but we have to sit with Tom and.
Got it, got it. Okay.
And if I could just interject, if there was any adjustment from that $4 million figure that was proposed by the council, that would be separate from the tie agreement, which is strictly about portico. This was sort of a separate development agreement that I might need to see clarification on, but I don't think would actually need to be voted on by this council because it's not, we are not giving them any benefits. They're providing benefits to us, and this signed agreement would basically be their good faith agreement that they're making strides towards that. So
as a result of the
you wouldn't want to
negotiations
amend the
around the
tie.
age dip.
Exactly.
I understand
right.
that. So, but it is not tied, but tied. So I think it's
Absolutely.
really important to be able for us to advocate for our constituents in that way. So, so I guess procedurally, we just have to see a final form. Is that right, Tom?
For the separate development agreement, yes.
Okay. And so what is the next step with this draft?
So the next step here would be, this would, I imagine, get tabled tonight and taken by the full council May 12th. Within the next week, we would send a new tie agreement to the council that has followed review by our council, by HYM's council, by the state. But again, that's just the separate tie agreement. And then we're working on what the contours of this will look like with our council, but a separate agreement that we'll also send along as soon as possible. I mean, I don't know if there's any formal vote that needs to be taken for me to understand the spirit of the council tonight. If that's what you want us to bring back to the negotiating table, we hear you loud and clear, but we'll defer to the council on that matter. I don't think there's a procedural vote needed.
Not until we have this finalized.
Could we add a motion to this, just saying that we'd like the mayor to take back an $8 million offer?
I mean, I think that's what we just said, and he said he's willing to take it back. I mean, if you really want to put a motion.
I mean, that's why it's written. Is that okay?
This has already been negotiated, correct?
Still in negotiation.
Still in negotiation. This is sort of our baseline, I would say.
And then, Tom, just to clarify, in order for them to receive the funding from the state and the tax credits from the state, they would need this TIF, essentially.
They would need a local TIF in order to submit the full application to the state.
Is
in
there a
this
pro
round.
forma or anything that we can see before we take a vote where they're making this, like?
So they have to submit a full application to the state for the HDIP program, and I can inquire with HYM if that's something that they could provide to the council. I imagine it's public information, so I believe that the submission deadline was actually tonight for that, and they submitted this draft tie agreement, but they'll submit the final one when it's ratified, if and when.
Yeah, so I'd still like to motion that we ask the mayor to negotiate
I'm gonna let Councilor
$8 million.
Argenzio speak, and then
Sounds
Councilor
good.
Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So I understand we're in a very distasteful position here, and I'm sure the mayor, this is the last thing he wanted to do was come up here and propose this. But the economy has tanked, construction has stopped. This is a very important project for us, development. We need to make sure that it continues on and thrives. I applaud Councilor Jaramillo. Can the mayor go back and by the 12th of May, maybe squeeze out some more money? I'm all in favor of that. But we can't cut off our nose to spite our face here. I know promises were made in the past, and as Councilor Kelly said, I give her credit, she brought this up, and was told that, no, that's not happening, and everything is excellent, but it wasn't, and this came down the road, and we're faced with it, and as a council, we have to make some tough decisions here, and, we can't just say, well, you promised this, so, that's it. We don't want to do it, and the project tanks, and we're sitting here a year or 2 years wondering when the project's going to kick back up. So I think the mayor has made his best effort. I think he can go back. Hopefully he can go back. Maybe he can squeeze a few more dollars out. As Councilor Jaramillo said, I'm all in favor of that. And I think we need to make some tough decisions, but make sure this project that we're relying on, continues to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Hess?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. It does make me somewhat nervous when you see if we don't agree to this that we're going to lose another cycle, another construction cycle. And Tom, you had referenced something earlier about benefits for the city, Revere workers. You had talked about the stage, concert tickets. Other than financially, are there any other benefits that we could look into for Revere residents by getting into this?
I think the primary two would be the component related to hours worked by Revere workers, which, as the mayor noted, is sort of an intangible. We can't put a dollar value to it, but certainly Revere workers can. And then we were in very preliminary discussions about some things we might be able to do to provide some community benefits to the one of the ground floor tenants at Amaya. And then, in addition, with the stage at Suffolk Downs, we're talking about potentially a donation for a set amount of tickets to be allocated by the Parks and Rec Department or donated to the Public Health Department for one of their auctions for the various concerts for the stage at Suffolk Downs.
Did you say residents on the ground floor of the Amaya building?
The retail on the ground floor of Amaya, so working out some sort of community benefit associated with one of those tenancies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you, Tom. I appreciate you. I have a meeting with Tom O'Brien tomorrow morning, so I will be sure that we discuss this at length. I also am a huge champion for this project. I was a huge champion for the high school project. And as many people have said tonight, none of us want to be in this predicament right now. None of us. But we are in it, as several of you said, and these are the things we're facing. But I do want to hold them to the added Revere residents. And this is the one hiccup I may have with this whole thing. The last time when the project was doing well and the building happened, I was getting calls from union after union after union that there weren't enough Revere workers on that site. That a lot of the companies, as they do, brought in supervisors and foremen, and those were the guys that get protected in the jobs in the unions. As we know, they work the longest, they get there at the beginning, they stay till the end, but those were predominantly coming from outside of Revere. And I think that's a big fix that we need, and we need to stand firm on that. Also, I think that as we're talking about this and the negatives of it, I think we got to look at the positives of jump-starting this. As Councilor Genzio said, we could be sitting here 2 years from now looking at the same parking lots we're looking at right now. Or we could be jump-starting our economy, we could be jump-starting jobs in the future down the line, and these are all the things that we have to look in. So we're looking for extras and how do we get there and things that we look at. We look at jobs for Revere residents when the building's done, and we need to really start thinking hard and long about this. Yes, we're in a tough time right now. These economic times turn, but I think we're in between a rock and a hard place here. And I'm looking forward to trying to support this, but I need Tom's in here from the unions that they've solidified the more workers on the site. That's a big one for me. And now I believe, Counselor, you have a motion you want to put into the floor.
Yeah, and and for the, for clarity, I understand to, Counselor Genzio's point, I think we all understand this would be a non-binding motion, but I think we want to send a message to the developer here that, 4 million just doesn't quite cut it, and, that we have to pay our bills too. And so just a motion to give the city, give a hard line city, I guess, what we would say. Oh, Ashley's
Madam
the
Clerk.
best. This is why they pay you the big bucks. You see, we need this money so we can give Ashley a raise. Just saying.
Verbal motion by Councilor Jaramillo that the mayor be requested to negotiate a separate development agreement with HYM to include an additional payment to the city of Revere in the amount of $8 million tied to the construction dates of other Suffolk Downs projects.
Madam Clerk, if we could just say an additional 4 from what's already been proposed, I think. Not adding 8, just adding an additional 4, so doubling what they've already proposed. So it's 8 total, yeah, total of 8, yeah. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Mr. President, do we get a chance to talk about this motion before we vote on it, or? did we-
Absolutely.
Okay, may I?
Yes, please.
I understand, I'd like to get as much money as possible, but I think that amount of money, now we're talking about why we're even giving a tax break in the first place. We're gonna ask them for $4 million more. We may as well give them a 10-year deal at that point, and scrap the extra $4 million. So that's just my thoughts on it. Thank you.
It's a non-binding motion, it's just us giving us our intent.
But when you ask the mayor, when we file a motion, the mayor has to accept or deny that motion. So we're asking him to ask for an additional $4 million where.
I understand, I wasn't responding to you, I was responding to the chair who looked at me to see if I had to respond. I'm just
I'm
clarifying.
responding to what you said, Counselor. Thank you.
We can just let him finish? Yeah, Counselor. Okay, Counselor Kelly.
Thank you. So I think what this motion might do, though, is just send the message to the developer that we're not really too happy about these terms, and it might open the door for just some further negotiation, that the city council isn't too keen on this, and, maybe it wouldn't be 4 million, but maybe it would be 2 million, or maybe it would be another million, or maybe, so I think it just opens the door requesting for some further negotiation. So I think it's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? Counselor Hess?
Why don't we ask the mayor to look into additional things for Revere residents other than the financial aspect of it? I don't know if they're offering 4 million. We just ask for 8 million. Why don't we ask the mayor and the planning department to meet with HYM and see what benefits they can provide the Revere residents?
Mr. President. May I?
Yes, please.
I'll just say that Councilor Haas, all the councilors, I hear you loud and clear. So you could put a motion in. I don't know if, like I said, if it's non-binding. You can ask me right here. I'm right here. So you don't have to go through the process. I understand exactly what your wishes are. I will go back to the table and continue to negotiate for more in every facet, including the economic facet. And I'm pretty sure that the development team is probably watching this, if not live. They'll certainly be watching it within the next 24 hours. So I think that they're going to hear your tone loud and clear and know that it sounds like there's been some very rational and reasonable thought from the entire body. And we'll take that back to them, that we're looking to see how much further we can work this agreement so that it's even more palatable for the body.
Thank you. Councilor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would it be feasible now, because we've already stated that we're going to ask for 4 million and hope that they give us 1 or 2? Can we lower the amount of money that we're going to ask the mayor to negotiate? Because we literally just put our cards, we just showed our hand, multiple people. So
Can I respond to that? It opens the door for negotiation. It doesn't say that if we got one, we'd accept it. But what I'm saying is, it's opening the door that we want more, so let's negotiate more. That's it.
Okay, so maybe we should just ask to negotiate more instead of put a number on it.
Mr. President, roll call on this motion.
Can I have substitute motion to table this?
We have a substitute motion on the floor to table this.
This is to table, Counselor Jaramillo's verbal motion.
No, I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. I wanted to table the original motion.
Counselor Jaramillo's motion is on the floor right now.
Madam Clerk,
Do you want me to reread the motion again? Okay.
please reread the
Verbal
motion and then have a roll
motion by
call.
Counselor Jaramillo that the mayor be requested to negotiate a separate development agreement with HYM to include an additional payment to the city of Revere in the amount of $8 million tied to the construction dates of other Suffolk Downs projects. Counselor Argenzio?
Sorry, Madam.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry.
Total payment,
Yes?
not an additional payment, right?
Yep, total.
Oh, I heard additional, sorry. I just want to make sure, I don't want to.
Yes?
So there was 4 million, it's just a negotiation. There's a separate negotiation on the floor for $4 million. He's asking for an additional 4 on top of that, so it'd be 8 total.
Or just an additional payment of $4 million.
That the mayor be requested to negotiate a separate development agreement with HYM to include an additional payment to the city of Revere in the amount of $4 million. Period. Okay. Counselor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Cogliandro?
No.
No. Counselor Janino?
No.
No. Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hass?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor McKenna?
No.
No. Counselor Novoselsky? Yes. Yes. Counselor Zambudo?
No.
No. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, the motion passes.
Motion to table the motion.
Madam Clerk?
On to,
If, then I remove my motion so I can discuss it before I put the motion back in. Is that okay, Mr. President?
Council Cogliandro.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We don't have room because of our meeting ordinance, we don't have room to put this in subcommittee. By tabling it, we're assuring that we can bring this up at the next meeting. That's the only reason we're tabling it. So we want to make sure that we have the ability to handle this issue on May 12th. That's it. Nothing malicious. Thank you. Motion to table.
Madam Clerk?
to table the communication to the meeting of May 12th, Counselor Argenzio?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Cogliandro?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Hass?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, the communication has been tabled.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tom, appreciate it.
Motions, calendar item number 18, motion presented by Counselor Guarino Sawaya, that the mayor request IT to update the citizen serve form to sign up for site plan review to include a yes or no checkbox if language interpretation services are needed, and if yes, what language will be required.
Council Guarino Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. During my attendance at site plan review meetings, it became clear that some residents do not understand what they are being told during the site plan review process. To address these issues, I put forward this motion requesting the IT department update the citizen serve form on the site plan review allowing residents to request their language interpretation while filling out the forms, not having to wait the 2 weeks. So I'm pleased to announce that thanks to Michael Wells and the IT department, this motion has already been implemented, and the forms are already updated and available now on CitizenServe. So I guess I'm withdrawing the motion or putting it on file? Putting on file. Thank
We'll
you.
place this on file.
Thank you.
Calendar item number 19, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro that the mayor request MassDOT to paint new lines, repair all potholes, and install additional lighting on Squire Road. Councilor Zambudo is recused from this motion.
Council Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have tried to communicate with MassDOT on this issue. I'm now attempting to do so through a motion in hopes that somebody does something. If you're not from Revere, it is very difficult to know exactly where those lines are, especially I live on Newman Street, and at the bottom of my street is where that third lane starts to close off to that second lane. Like I said, if you don't know this area, that's incredibly dangerous. It's not well lit, and we need to fix potholes, and we need those lines, if anything, repainted. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 20, motion presented by Councilor Kelly that the City Council approve the following non-binding public advisory question to be placed on the November 2025 municipal election ballot. Non-binding ballot question. The City of Revere is seeking input on whether to make changes to terms of office for elected officials. Question 1. Currently, there are no term limits for elected officials in the City of Revere. Do you support a charter change that would set term limits for the offices of mayor, at-large city councilor, ward city councilor, at-large school committee member, and ward school committee member? A yes vote means you support term limits for elected officials. A no vote means you do not support term limits for elected officials.
Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President. So after the discussion we had on term limits during the last meeting, I decided to submit this motion under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 53, Section 18A, which allows for a non-binding question of term limits to be put to the voters on a ballot so that it is decided by so it is not decided by this council alone. I think it's apparent to everyone that residents really want to weigh in on this issue and have their voices heard. This simple ballot question would empower residents to have a say in shaping their government structure and would allow for direct democracy. However, a council vote on term limits sidesteps that and allows for, unfortunately, an inherent conflict of interest. This is not a reflection on the members of this council, but we'd be remiss not to recognize that even the best-intentioned councilor faces an inherent conflict here. If we alone vote on this issue, we are ruling on our own job security, which thereby creates an appearance of impropriety. The obvious solution, then, is a ballot vote, which removes any bias by simply letting the voters decide. At our last meeting, it was mentioned that voters could not handle this question, that they may say they want term limits, but in actuality would not realize that they'd be losing experience. That's nonsense. Voters completely understand and want the opportunity to vote on this issue. Denying them an opportunity to be heard is insulting, and it assumes they cannot handle having a choice. Others may say we already have term limits, they're called elections, which is catchy. But this argument also fails miserably because when incumbents run unopposed repeatedly, it fails. There is no democracy in that. And in our last 10 municipal elections, incumbents ran unopposed 31 times. Where's the choice at the ballot box then? How exactly does an unopposed incumbent get voted out? Where is the democracy in that? This proves that incumbency and name recognition in Revere act as powerful deterrents to newcomers who would otherwise enter a race. Just look at our last at-large race, where 3 open seats sparked 8 brand-new candidates to run. In closing, I hope we can all agree tonight that a ballot vote on term limits builds faith that we serve the public, not ourselves, that their voices are important to us, that we are not here to cling to power, but we're here to hear from them. That's what's most important. Let's not rob them of having their voices heard on this issue in November. Therefore, I move that we put the question of term limits on a ballot vote in November, and I respectfully request a vote on this motion this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Do we have any other counselors? Counselor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know you made a motion, and it's coming before Legislative Affairs on May 12th. You still want that to go forward?
I think this will be going to Legislative Affairs as well.
Well, Councilor Kelly makes a good point, and everyone knows how I feel about term limits, but I certainly have no problem this going on the ballot and hearing what the residents have to say. But I still would like this to go to subcommittee, because I'd like the city solicitor here and the election commissioner to have some questions asked, and that way we can clarify what the people are going to be voting on. It's still a non-binding question, so it's still, even after the question goes before the voters, it's still going to be a vote of the council, and it's still going to have to go to the legislature. So I don't want anyone to think that, that's the end of it. It still has to go through the whole home rule petition and what have you. So I have no problem it going out to the residents, but I'd still like some questions answered by both the city solicitor and the election commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I understand you want to listen to the voters, let their voice be heard, and if this goes on the ballot, that's essentially what you're doing. But with an election, that's what you're doing as well. They're voting for the best candidate that they believe in, whether that's school committee at large, whether that's a ward counselor. I spoke on this at the last council meeting, and I was very positive regarding my relationships with veteran counselors that have been here for years. Have I leaned on them? Absolutely. The mix of new faces and veteran leadership is extremely important for a position such as a counselor. It's something that's necessary. You rely on their advice, and that's how you grow as a counselor. You saw how quickly if you're a new counselor in your first term, you saw how quickly 2 years went. I don't see the benefit of placing a timeline on someone's ability to do a job. I understand the way the original motion was worded was very interesting. Sure, you could run for at-large for 10 years. Maybe you want to run for a ward counselor, another 10 years, so you put in 20 years right there. But I think you need that voice, you need that veteran voice, and I think that's an important thing for new counselors. I don't see the point in someone who's 25 years old. You have a young kid fresh out of college who his dream has always been to be a ward counselor, and he gets in at 22, his first time running, and you're going to say, 10 years from now, you're done. You can run for school committee, but your time as ward counselor is finished. I don't think that's right, and I don't think we should put a timeline on someone's effectiveness to do a job for this city, and especially one that if they're passionate about it, I don't see why you would take that away from them. And that should be with the voters. They should elect the best candidate possible, and that's where I stand on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say that I went to school 4 years to be a teacher, and I didn't have any experience when I got in the classroom my first year. It took a real long time for me to get adjusted to teach kids. It didn't take my first year or my second year. It took multiple years. I've been a counselor for 10 and a half years now. The things that I know now, I didn't know back then. I've learned it through years of experience. And I just think that's so valuable when you're a counselor. I mean, I'm here 10 and a half years, and I look at Counselor Zambuto and Counselor Novoselsky still for, knowledge and stuff that I need to know. So I just think time is valuable. I really do. And experience is valuable too. So that's just how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think everybody knows that I once was for term limits. I got here and found out I made a difference, and I stayed, and the people agreed with me. But that's not the point of this motion. You know, this motion is a non-binding referendum. It's, you know, to me, non-binding referendums are like a bucket of spit. They're not worth anything. You don't get anything out of a non-binding resolution. If this was a binding resolution, it would be something to vote on. So I can't support this because it's a non-binding, has nothing to do with my feelings that I disagree with term limits. It has to do with I disagree with non-binding resolutions. So that's how I stand on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I just want some clarification, because now we have two motions before us that are in regards to term limits. Is there any collaboration in the future? Are we gonna?
Yes. So I was actually going to let everyone speak, but I was going to pull my motion, add myself to Counselor Kelly's motion, and expect this to go to Legislative Affairs, to be honest.
Okay. I have supported term limits in the past, and I don't believe that, and I think Counselor Kelly made this point in different wording, but I don't believe that this decision should start with a body that it's going to affect. And I would be for this, to put this question, to see how the people feel. I do agree, and you know, I don't know what kind of turnout we're gonna get. I don't know if this is gonna be 50-50, if they're gonna shoot it down, shoot it up. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it is worth it to give them a voice and let the process start with them and not us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Counselor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the leeway. So the first thing I want to say is that's the point of this motion. Yes, it is non-binding, but that information that we get from this vote lets us know how our constituents feel about term limits. We can respect the way they feel and then decide exactly how far we want to take it and work out the particulars and the specifics at that time. But to say that we don't want information from the voters, to say that it's not worth a bucket of spit to find out how your constituents feel about something is, I can't even wrap my head around that. I'm sorry. So I do want to hear from the constituents, and being up here as an elected official, I want to enact their will. This is a tool for me to understand what they want me to do. So that's the purpose of a non-binding vote. The second thing is we don't need legal review because it is a non-binding vote. If we want to send this to Legislative Affairs, I'd ask that it be sent quickly, because the next step, if this does not go forward, would be a public petition that would require signatures, and we can get it done that way, but that's going to take some time. So my only caveat would be is that I would respectfully request that we put this on to the next Legislative Affairs Subcommittee as soon as possible. The next thing is, you know, in terms of still, they have these, voters have the choices at the ballot box, so we don't need term limits. I think I said, there were elected officials that ran unopposed 31 times. So if everyone is so hung up on name recognition that candidates don't even want to be bothered entering the race, and incumbents are running unopposed, the voter goes to the voter poll, and there's no other name there for them to choose from. So where is the choice in that? That's a big issue for me. And we see proof that when seats open up, it encourages new people to run. Just like we saw in the at-large race the last time we ran. 3 seats opened and 8 new people threw their hat in the ring. So the proof is right there. And in terms of, you know, councilors can still be here for years. President Silvestri made the point, you can be a ward councilor, then you can be an at-large councilor. You can be here for years. It's not like we're saying, hey, 2 years and you're gone, 4 years and you're gone. It wouldn't work that way. And in terms of a learning curve, I think everyone has a different learning curve. Some people might pick this job up very quickly in the first year. Other people might need time to kind of know the ropes depending upon your background and where you're coming from a private sector sector. So I don't think that having a huge learning curve can be said for everyone who has this job. So again, I want to hear what the constituents have to say, and I think this should absolutely go to a non-binding vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you.
And when you're done, Mr. President, if I could.
Yes,
say-
absolutely. So I think everyone knows I put the first motion up 4 years ago, and then I put it up again. I'm in favor of this. I will be withdrawing my motion from and adding myself to Councilor Kelly's. She said that was okay. Yes. I am in full support. I think this is a great idea.
This stagnation that everyone is talking about it doesn't exist. And what about lame duck? So if, say, the mayor, if it's his last term, his last 4 years or her last 4 years is lame duck. They're not accountable to anyone. We want to say that this makes the candidate or the incumbent more accountable to the voter. The last 2 years of your council, you're lame duck. You can do anything you want. You're not accountable to anyone. 4 years as mayor, you're not accountable to anyone. Same thing with the school committee. So, be careful what you wish for here. It sounds great, and it sounds great to the public. Oh, term limits, get these people. But they keep getting voted in and voted in. That's the voter's choice. So if somebody runs unopposed, I don't know that candidates are scared to run. Maybe people are satisfied with their representation. So there is a lot of assumptions being made about term limits, and it's based on assumptions and fallacies. So again, I have no problem going to the voter. I would never deny the voter a voice in any issue. So I just wanted to have my say, and we'll talk about it at Legislative Affairs on May 12th. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, this will be going to Legislative Affairs on May 12th. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 21, motion presented by Councilors Guarino, Sawaya, and McKenna, that the City Council award a certificate of commendation to Justin Poppy of Luigi's Pizza in Beachmont in recognition of his efforts in competing on CBS's reality show, Survivor.
Councilor Guarino Swire and Councilor McKenna.
Thank you. I'll take the first lead. I'm just going to save my comments for that night, but this is a great certificate of commendation for Justin. And it was actually Councilor Guarino Sawaya who put this motion in. So I'll save my comments for that night. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor?
I've already spoken on my motions, so I will save my comments for the
Thank you very much.
presentation. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Councilor Jaramillo.
Mr. President, through you to the clerk, if you could please add me as a co-sponsor of this, if that's still okay with Councilor Guarino Sawaya.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, you're okay. And then, and I can reserve my comments for the day of. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 22, motion presented by Councilor Argenzio, that the City Council officially name the 4-foot wide footpath running from 201 Arnold Street to 688 Park Ave, Ambrosio Way, in recognition of the Ambrosio family who have resided at 201 Arnold Street since 1948 and who have assisted in maintaining this footpath for decades. Further, that the mayor request the DPW to install appropriate signage at both ends of the footpath bearing the name Ambrosio Way.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. This footpath, I think 99% of the people in the city don't know it exists. The neighbors use this to go from Arnold Street, Vane Street, up to Park Avenue to get on the bus. It's existed for 70, 80 years. This family has lived here since 1948. In fact, Charlie Ambrosio is a retired Revere firefighter. They've helped maintain this thing over all these years, so I think it would be a nice thing to recognize the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 23, motion presented by Councilor Argenzio, that the mayor request the city's policy writer and analyst to draft an ordinance amending Chapter 12.20, poles, wires, and cables, to enable and provide the city engineer, in conjunction with the ward counselor, with the authority to grant and review poll locations.
Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know we spend endless amounts of time here at the City Council talking with National Grid, and these pole locations, conduit locations, I think can be handled by the city engineer and DPW with the input of the ward councilor. Anytime a ward councilor is in favor of something, we always support them. When they're against a certain thing happening, we support them. So it's always the ward councilor that, you know, weighs in on this. I think it'll save the city council a tremendous amount of time. And and then when we do have somebody in front of us here from National Grid, we kind of vent, and the person we're venting on really has nothing to do with the subjects that we're talking about. We certainly reserve the right to have National Grid come before us to answer some questions or concerns that we may have. But at least when that person comes in front of us, it's the person we need to talk to and the person that can give us some answers. So I think this will go a long way for just freeing up the city council, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Guarino-Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand in full support of Councilor Argenzio's motion. This is actually a proactive step towards improving efficiency and accountability in this process. By shifting the responsibility, we not only save valuable time during our council meetings, but we also ensure that decisions are made by those who have a deeper understanding of the city's infrastructure and needs. It holds utility companies more accountable, as they no longer are able to send representatives who, as we've seen in the past, often lack the answers to critical questions that we may have. I believe this will lead to more transparent, effective, and responsible process, better serving the constituents in the city as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. This motion has too much common sense attached to it. It's rare, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 24, motion presented by Councilor Guarino-Swire that the mayor request the appropriate department to explore the feasibility of equipping all fire department vehicles with EpiPens. Further, that the administration explore the availability of state or federal funding which would offset the cost of purchasing and maintaining an EpiPen supply.
Councilor Guarino-Swire.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually got this motion from a city of Revere gentleman who came up to me and said, well, maybe this is a good motion, and it really is. I ran with it because I thought it was fantastic. So thank you, Ed. Given that our firefighters are often the first on scene during emergency calls, and considering the documented delays in ambulance response times that we've actually seen within the city of Revere, having EpiPens readily available could be the difference between life and death for residents experience anaphylactic shock. And we've seen that actually happen recently, that they did not have the EpiPens on an ambulance call. And I mean, when the firefighters came first and they had to wait for the ambulance, which took a lot of time, and then they could have died. So this is a no-brainer. Thank you.
It is a no-brainer. Councilor Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mr. President, and through you to Councilor Guarino-Swire. I'm going to ask if she could add me to this motion as well, and I'll tell you why in a second. You can see my wife is texting me here in the wee hours of this council hearing, and I know that she's watching this, and we have a recurring fight because the woman has a severe peanut allergy, but refuses to carry her EpiPen. So this is great. You know, and I know that Angela loves my wife, so maybe she had a conversation with her. I wasn't present, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, Councilor Guarino-Swire. But I just got to say, this is great. Honey, I know you're watching at home. You know, now you don't, thanks to your friend here, now we don't have to carry the EpiPens anywhere, which you've never done anyway. But, you know, nonetheless, this is a matter of public safety, and I really appreciate thoughtfulness on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 25, motion presented by Councilor Guarino-Swire that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to provide for two-sided parking in the Riverside neighborhood. Further, that the DPW be directed to install no parking here to corner signage on all streets in Riverside, both sides, 20 feet from the intersections of North Shore Road and Mills Ave or Hayes Ave.
Counselor?
I think I'm going to hold my comments till, if we can send this to traffic, I'll hold my comments for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 26, motion presented by Councilor Guarino Sawaya, that the City Council award certificates of commendation to the women of the Jack Satter House who are featured in the viral Calendar Girls Project.
Counselor Green Swire.
I will reserve my comments for the presentation. Thank you.
All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 27, motion presented by Councilor Argenzio, that the mayor request the DPW to have the street sweeping contractor complete the full street sweeping route on holidays. When the sweeper does not complete the route, residents unnecessarily move their vehicles and the street does not get cleaned until the following month.
Counselor Argenzio.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we had a resident here speak about this issue tonight. This mainly affects Ward 4 because we get swept on Mondays, and that most of the holidays fall on Mondays. So we don't have the traffic control out because they have a day off, and we certainly don't want tickets issued on holidays. However, there are some residents that get up, move the cars from in front of their house and expecting to get swept. Now, I know the contract calls for the street sweeper to complete the route, but the sweeper is showing up, looking at the street. Well, there's too many cars there. I'm not going to bother going up. So the people that do move their cars and sweep off onto the street, the sweeper doesn't show up. So I just want they're contracted to complete the full day, the full route, and I just want to make sure that happens.
Thank you, Counselor. All in favor, all opposed?
All right.
So ordered.
Calendar item number 28, motion presented by Councilor Cogliandro, that the City Council order to a public hearing an ordinance further amending the Revere revised ordinances relative to financial impact statements. Section 1, financial impact statements is hereby amended by deleting the word 5 and inserting in place thereof the word 10.
Counselor Cogliandro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Councilor Zambuto put this ordinance in over 20 years ago. And if it was $5,000 back then, I think we should bump it up to 10. Things are more expensive, and frankly, I'm sick of having to come up and say, did we do a financial impact study on this? So, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Zambuto.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with Councilor Cogliandro 100%. I might even want to go to 15 because 20 years ago, I think it's probably, I'd be amenable to that, but I think it's a great motion. I support it anyway.
Thank you, Counselor. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered. Oh, no, this will be ordered to a public hearing. Yes, sir.
Calendar item number 29, motion presented by Councilor McKenna, that the mayor request MassDOT to paint a do not block the box markings for traffic control on Bennington Street at the intersection of Crescent Avenue. Councilor Zambuto is recused from this motion.
Counselor Cogliandro.
No, it's Joanne McKenna.
Sorry, Counselor McKenna.
Oh, boy, we're having a really good time tonight.
Really tough night.
I know. Beachmont is dissected into various parts, DCR, MassDOT, 7:30 to 8:30, 2:30 to 3:30, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. You can't get through Bennington Street. We have 24,000 cars that pass through Bennington Street every single day. People from Beachmont can't get out to go into East Boston. They can't get out to go to Boston because the line of cars, there's 2 rows of cars. So they're stuck. So the traffic backs up all the way 2 blocks. I saw it the other day when I was driving down Revere Street. They have a do not block the box, which really works. It really works. So I'm asking the mayor to look into this for Crescent Ave going out to Bennington Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
And there is one late motion presented by Councilors Jaramillo and Silvestri. It's regarding a proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month.
Council Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your support on this. I'll just read it and let the resolution speak for itself. It's a little lengthy. I know everyone wants to go home. But this is to call for May to be Mental Health Awareness Month, and in particular the first Wednesday of May, with a specific set for the first Wednesday of May, which I'll read here. So whereas Americans across the country continue to confront an ongoing mental health crisis, whereas we continue to see increasing reports of loneliness, stress, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and substance use disorders. Whereas the 2022 National Survey on Drug Use and Health conducted by the CDC found that the number of American adults living with mental illness has risen from 51,400,000 to about 60 million in 2022. 23% of Americans over the age of 18 and 36% of Americans between the age of 18 and 25 have lived with mental illness during the past year, whereas 13,200,000 adults have serious thoughts of suicide during the past year, whereas in October of 2022, a study from the Kaiser Family Foundation on Mental Health in America survey found that 90% of the public think that there is a mental health crisis in the United States today. 55% of the public think that the mental health issues in children and teenagers in the United States today are a crisis. 47% of parents say that the COVID-19 pandemic has had a negative impact on child's mental health, and 51% of all adults say they or their family member has experienced a severe mental health crisis. Gender, race, and socioeconomic status are predictors of access to mental health resources and outcomes, whereas the Stress in America survey of 2023, conducted by the American Psychological Association, found that 26% of adults are so stressed that they struggle to function. 47% of adults struggle to go to work or attend school because of stress. 58% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 14 feel completely overwhelmed by stress every day, whereas the 2022 Access to Care survey conducted by the National Council for Mental Health Well-Being found that 2 in 5 Americans reported needing mental health care. 43% of Americans who needed mental health care over the past 12 months did not receive it. And 2/3 of Americans believe that it is harder to find a mental health care provider than it is to find a physical health care provider. Whereas the 2024 Household Pulse survey found that 17% of adults reported symptoms of anxiety disorder. CDC mental health disorders and chronic conditions report that without proper diagnosis and treatment, children can face problems at home and in school, which can interfere with their future development. Whereas more resources should be dedicated in schools to the prevention, early detection, and treatment of mental health disorders in children. Whereas childhood depression is more likely to persist into adulthood if left untreated. Whereas it is important that the United States and the City of Revere provide the necessary funding and resources to reach children and youth early on in life. Whereas sorry, again, I apologize. I know it's pretty lengthy. But it's about mental health awareness, right? So this is what we're doing. Whereas the October 14, 2022 CDC Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report found that 3 in 4 high school students experienced at least one adverse childhood experience during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that these experiences increase an individual's likelihood to report poor mental health or suicidal behavior in the future. Whether the CDC Mortality Weekly Report found that in 2020 and 2023, the number of pediatric emergency department visits associated with mental health conditions increased and was most pronounced in girls between the ages of 12 and 17, whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the use of digital technologies such as any social media, whereas there has been a great concern about the impact of social media on mental health in children and youth, whereas the CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Survey data summary found that nearly 3 in 5 teenage girls in the United States felt persistently sad or hopeless, which is double that of boys and the highest levels ever reported in decades. 30% of teenage girls in the United States seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. Youth experienced high and worsening levels of persistent sadness or hopelessness across all racial and ethnic groups. I'm going to skip over just some of it because it's a lot of data and I want you all to read it, but I understand that the night is ending here, and I want to be just thoughtful of that. So whereas according to the 2023 National Survey on LGBTQ youth mental health conducted by the Trevor Project, 56% of people who identify as LGBTQ youth wanted mental health care in the past year, were not able to get it, and 41% of the same people considered attempting suicide over the same period, whereas disparities remain in access to mental health treatment for communities of color, Asian, Native American, Hispanic, Black individuals, less likely to receive mental health care than any of their white counterparts. Whereas in 2021, a survey conducted by the National Council for Mental Health Wellbeing found that from July 20 to 2021, 46% of Black adults say they experience more stress and mental health challenges, but just 21% say they have received treatment or care of any kind for their mental health. 45% of Native Americans have experienced more stress, mental health challenges, but only 24% received care. 42% of Hispanics, but only 26% received care. 40% of Asian, but only 11% received care. Almost half of all adults surveyed stated that the cost of help or treatment is an obstacle in seeking treatment for mental health. Just going to skip a little bit longer here because there are some very important pieces here that I would like everyone to hear intently. Whereas maternal and child health are linked, and according to the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, 1 in 5 people who give birth are impacted by mental health conditions. 75% of people who give birth go untreated. Mental health conditions are the leading cause of maternal deaths, accounting for 22% of pregnancy-related deaths, according to the data from the Maternal Mortality Review Committees in 38 states, conducted in 2020 by the U.S. Centers of Disease Control Prevention. 6 to 8% of people that give birth suffer from postpartum pregnancy-related anxiety, which includes symptoms like being easily stressed, worried, overwhelmed, or tense. 4% of people that give birth suffer from postpartum or pregnancy-related obsessive-compulsive disorder, which includes symptoms like disturbing, repetitive, intrusive thoughts, which may include thoughts of harming self or baby. 14% of people that give birth suffer from postpartum or pregnancy-related depression, which includes symptoms like negative thinking, including guilt, helplessness, hopelessness, or worthlessness. 9% of people that give birth suffer from postpartum or pregnancy-related post-traumatic stress disorder, which includes symptoms like change in cognition, mood, arousal, associated with traumatic events, typically around childbirth. 3% of people suffer from postpartum pregnancy bipolar disorder, which includes symptoms like manic or hypomanic episodes, alternate with depressive episodes. 2 out of 2 people who give birth for every 1,000 births suffer from postpartum psychosis, a medical emergency that often leads to suicide and infanticide, which includes symptoms like delusions, hallucinations, paranoia, rapid mood swings, cognitive impairment, focus on death, or reckless behavior. All of these conditions are comorbid with things like substance use, whereas provisional data published by the CDC found that suicide is the leading cause of death in the United States. Whereas veterans are more than 50% more likely to experience mental health challenges than the general population, where it is important that the United States and the City of Revere provide additional funding and resources to veterans to support veterans and their mental health needs, whereas 2023 National Veteran Suicide Prevention Annual Report found that 6,300 veterans died by suicide in 2021, a daily average of 18. The suicide rate for veterans was 72% greater than for non-veteran United States adults, and the suicide rate was the highest amongst veterans between the ages of 18 and 34, whereas it would be appropriate to observe May 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Revere. Now there be it resolved that the Revere City Council supports the designation as May of the Mental Health Awareness Month to remove the stigma associated with mental health illness and place emphasis on scientific findings regarding mental health recovery in the City of Revere. And declares mental health, okay. That's almost, we're almost there. Declares mental health a citywide priority, supports the expansion of funding for mental health services, namely the city's crisis intervention unit, and urging the state to expand its mental health infrastructure, recognizes that mental well-being is equally as important as physical well-being for residents, communities, businesses, and the economy of Revere, applauds the local nonprofit medical faith-based organizations in working to promote public awareness of mental health and providing critical information to support families affected by mental illness. Encourages all to draw on Mental Health Awareness Month as an opportunity to promote mental well-being and awareness, ensure access to appropriate coverage and services, support quality of life for those living with mental health illnesses. Designates the first Wednesday of May 2025 as Maternal Mental Health Day in the city of Revere, and further directs the mayor to promulgate this resolution and advertise on its city's media pages, mental health resources throughout Mental Health Awareness Month and on Maternal Mental Health Day. Sorry. Thank you all. Thanks for indulging me.
It's a great motion, Counselor. I support it wholeheartedly. Any other counselors?
Counselor, you're not going to read it too, are you?
Yeah. He has to.
Only one section. All in favor, all opposed?
Thank you.
So ordered. Point of personal privilege. I just want to wish my mother, Sharon, a very happy birthday. Today is actually her birthday. Love you, Mom. That closes tonight's business. We'll see you all May 12th.